We are red. Red is on.
And Jesse is here.
Hi, good evening, and it's 4:49, and welcome to Thursday, January 31st, 2019 Selectmen's meeting. First thing in order we have is pledge allegiance to the flag. I noticed it's over here.
No.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, we have a meeting, we have a non-public, well, we'll go right in, we'll do the minutes. So minutes of Wednesday, January 16th, 2019.
On page 2, at the very top, the stipend policy we need to be revisited. Actually, we need to create a stipend policy, because we don't have a standard policy that covers all boards and committees. From the Board of Selectmen anyway. And in the motion, so if you read the motion, the first motion that was made was to remove the alternate stipend amounts until such time, blah, blah, blah. And then, under discussion, Selectman Constantino amended her motion to include zoning board and the Conservation Commission. So, should the first motion have should it say the planning board alternate stipend? Because the first motion that was made before it was amended removed all the stipends. So my question is, why would we add zoning board and conservation to a stipend, to a motion that already included them? See what I mean?
It's redundant, unless the original motion was.
Included planning.
To remove stipends.
So the first motion says to remove the alternate stipend amounts.
Right.
Until such time the board decides whether alternates get paid.
Right.
So that includes all the stipends in the budget, which was planning, zoning, and conservation. The amendment that's offered under discussion,
Right.
is to include zoning board and the conservation commission alternates.
So did she not know that those were included in everyone that gets stipends?
I don't know. I don't remember the conversation enough to know that.
Well, we can,
But what I'm
Isn't
saying
the
is,
result the same?
Pat, do you remember
No.
your motion
No.
that you made?
because the second amendment doesn't include planning board.
That would be the original motion.
To remove.
As for those other ones,
Okay.
but the result is the same because they're all done away with. It is convoluted.
But we'll ask Pat, and you amended the motion to include zoning board, but it wasn't that already included in the
Yes.
others?
Yeah.
So,
It was already included.
So should we just take out the Selectman Constantino amended? That portion?
Yeah.
And then just pick it up where it says Selectman Fox seconded? The third paragraph down, Public Works.
Combing,
Thank you.
combing the position of director.
Thank you. And then, so maybe this is just me. The 2019 salary for 3 months at an hourly rate of $27.21, then from April on represents $87,500. Combination of those two on annualized basis is $79,775.
I'll check with Tim and see.
So if I was combining an amount with the 87.5, I'd come out with more than 79,775.
No.
No, from
Yes.
April on.
From April on, he's paid at that rate. In the initial part,
He hears grass grow.
Okay, but from April on, he represents 87,500.
well, there's the man himself, he can explain it to you.
Yeah, is this worded right? Is this
Of course it
clear?
is.
I
Starting
know the
right there.
calculation is correct.
How can the combination of those two on an annualized basis be less?
Because.
Because
An
the
87.5.
2721 is less than the salary in the new position.
Okay,
And you've got a
Annualized
it's a-
salary.
It's an algebra problem, Catherine. Sort of like a mixture problem.
It's now annualized salary, so.
well,
you're
no,
looking
it
at-
isn't, so what
I
it
don't
is,
like mixture
no,
problems.
what it is it's not clear
I thought it was clear.
that, the salary is for 12 months after the whole.
Annualized.
Right, it's an
But that's
annualized salary.
that's not made clear. That's why that's why annualized it would be 79,775.
Right.
That's what's-
No, the total
What would
would
you like
be
it to say?
79,775, the annualized salary is 87.5.
Right.
Oh, I see. Well, I see the way Tim's saying it now.
It just needs a little more language, maybe you can fix it.
Oh,
It's fine to me. I guess you need to have you're too creative, I guess, in your mind. You gotta be analytical. Made sense to
Okay,
me.
mathematicians.
It worked for me. It worked for Joe. He had a,
Hey, and I'm no math teacher. here.
well, yeah, but you're a chef, so you
I
get math
do
in
know
other
that.
ways.
I do.
So I'm an average, Joe. If you guys think it's fine, then it's fine. I'm just saying, I understand how you get there, but I don't think the public will. Otherwise, nice job with these minutes, because that was a very convoluted conversation all the way through.
Gail, page 3. The Pines Community. Paragraph, second sentence,
At the time
programs.
when.
Right letters. You got the right letters.
Why didn't spell check?
Because
that's not even a word.
Yeah.
I don't remember how we.
On page 3, once again, the second paragraph. I don't know, it seems a little confusing. I withdrew my second to John's motion, and I motioned it to be tabled, but nobody seconded that motion apparently, and it's just left out there. I motioned for it to be tabled. That doesn't table it in and of itself. So I'm not sure how that goes on the tape. I withdrew my second to John's motion,
Right.
and then I made a motion to table it. Somebody would have had to second that motion to table, and then there would have been a
But they
vote.
didn't.
Well, then
And that
that's,
was a confusing, and so that's why I finally just put matter tabled, because it wasn't resolved.
huh.
I thought there was a motion for $20,000.
Yeah, that was,
last week.
that was last week.
You
Thanks,
can't
guys.
say it, you
Instead-
can't
instead of-
say that it was
No,
tabled. unless
unresolved.
You say unresolved, you have to say something unresolved,
Matter
not settled,
unresolved.
not,
Matter unresolved, okay.
right.
Yeah, and if I motion to table it, that doesn't mean that anybody seconded that
Right.
motion or anything like that, so.
And then on the fourth paragraph down, you just need to put a space between by and selectmen.
It's the fourth one.
Selectman Scanlon moved, seconded
Oh,
by
gotcha.
Select.
Yep, gotcha.
Then go back to your Pines paragraphs, third line. money, ... It's usually 1 or 3. It's an odd number of dots, you've got an even.
Okay.
Are we sure that Selectman Dawson moved for Partnership for Public Health? Moved not to fund it?
Yes. I can go back and listen.
I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah, because we didn't, had the motion passed not to fund it.
I think it's the only
That was
motion
one
I
of the,
made on
right,
it.
that was the first, yeah.
I only have one other suggestion. So on the bottom of page 3, discussion of the alternative recreation line. We did have quite a conversation about that. We also did point out that the Tilton Sports Center was not going to go in. We also pointed out that Pima Youth Center had vacated that building. We weren't certain if they were continuing. There was some thought that they had moved into a room in the high school,
Middle school.
okay, middle school, but the consensus was to leave in the dollar.
Yes.
And the reason for leaving in the dollar, I don't really think is there, because we did have quite a discussion about those two entities not existing.
Yeah.
Except,
And
well,
what other potential things there are out there that might come up. If we don't have a line, then it's
And
difficult to.
that's why we left it in. So I think
Yeah.
it just should express
I
that.
don't know.
That we're looking
For other,
that there
so
may,
what?
in the future, be other
Should something come up,
opportunities.
we have a
For
line in it.
future possibility.
Yeah.
Don't even know what those are yet.
well, Pema Youth got 6,000 from the Christmas thing they do in Laconia.
Oh, very
The
nice.
auction.
The auction, yes.
Mhm.
If you read through the recipients, they were unlisted, so
The branch in Tilton, or I mean in general, because
I think it was Pema Youth Center Tilton.
that's very nice.
That auction is a great thing. They have fun with pines as well.
Ready?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of January 16th, 2019, as corrected, as amended, as manipulated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, as Joe stated,
Second.
and Catherine.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? So moved. Unanimous. And the next thing on the budget, I don't forget the budget. On the agenda, this is day 3.
Non-public
Is
personnel.
the non-public per RSA 91A:3, paragraph 2A. Dismissal, promotion, and compensation of public employee and displaying such employee or the investigation of any charges against him unless the employee affected has a right to the meeting and request that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. And roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Was there a second? I'm sorry.
No, second. Still yes.
Constantino, yes.
Yes.
Fogg, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Ta-da. Alphabetical, John.
Sorry.
We are red. Red is record. See how I switched it up right
Make a
there?
motion that we seal the minutes of the non-public as they pertain to personnel permanently.
Second.
Motion second to seal the minutes of the non-public as
Hello, Dory.
personnel.
Sorry, we're
All
ready
those
for
in
you.
favor say aye.
Thank you.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Next thing we have here on the agenda.
We're out of non-public.
Is the
We're out of non-public.
land use report.
By the way, well, maybe it's more of a discussion about, it just came out with Lauren about the appraisals, and there has never been an appraisal done in Cole. The last one, CG on that property was done in 2014. This is
would be, what, 3 years old, and that's, okay.
That's
4 years old.
She's under 17.
2017.
7 was 3, right?
Oh, I thought you meant the 2014 one.
Right. She said it was from the 2017 appeal.
Yeah, that's why they're asking for the
So it's 3 years old, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can read down every 5 years. I know this is a good one.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, my.
No, it's okay. We've got 10 minutes. 5 minutes. Good evening. Thank you for having me. I've got a memorandum here. Since you haven't seen it, well, first thing is personnel. When I was last here before you, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, or actually I'm not sure what it was. We talked about bringing back more details about the increase in hours to the land use technician position. I don't know if you want to discuss that tonight or not. I did bring back some additional information. I've got an updated, the other thing we talked about was updating the town planner job description. I've got an updated job description submitted in there. And then that email that you guys have already seen, I also put in there. That's essentially a narrative to go along with the matrix for that position. So again, if you want, we can talk about that, or I can move on to the next item.
Well, you submit everything, I think, and then it just goes through the budget process and that, and I think, and then there's a budget hearing on the 6th,
Okay.
and then, so that's where that's at.
Okay. All right.
Zoning enforcement, yeah.
Yeah, so I know it can be awkward, but maybe it makes sense for me to just read this since you haven't seen it yet. So if that's okay, that's what I'll just go ahead and do. 2 common sense zoning amendments brought forth by the Land Use Office were recently rejected by the Planning Board following objection voiced publicly by just 2 members of the general public. One proposed amendment would have eliminated an impractical and nearly unenforceable regulation currently requiring all parking lot lights to be turned off by 11 p.m. Properties that are currently believed to be in violation of this regulation include 24-hour businesses such as Irving, Cumberland Farms, Big Apple, and 3M. I won't read the next sentence. A whole long list of other businesses that are impacted that aren't necessarily 24-hour. The impacts of suddenly enforcing this regulation would be significant, and with full knowledge of the existing regulation, the Planning Board has continuously approved site plan review cases where the applicant clearly expressed an intent to keep lights on past 11 p.m. The other proposed amendment rejected by the Planning Board would have eliminated a recently instated second tier of wetlands buffer protection, establishing a 100-foot buffer around certain water features. Because the regulation pertains to public welfare, it is possible existing uses and configurations within the buffer are not grandfathered from the regulation. In the extreme, this could mean parking would be prohibited within 100 feet of open waters, including Lake Winnipesaukee, Silver Lake, and the Winnipesaukee River. Again, such a restriction would be impractical to enforce. Along Main Street alone, many businesses currently have parking areas within the 100-foot buffer, and these can only be permitted through a conditional use permit under the current regulations. While Al and I are disappointed that the Planning Board ignored the recommendations of professional staff, we are committed to upholding the ordinance, and we therefore seek permission to obtain legal guidance, and that's where the meat of this is right here, to obtain legal guidance on how to most fairly and effectively enforce these regulations. So that's my request, is I'm seeking permission to contact an attorney to come up with basically an enforcement policy on these 2 regulations so that we can be fair, and also to investigate the possibility of there being of grandfathered sites not actually being grandfathered because it's a welfare, it's a regulation that pertains to public welfare.
Can you dumb it down a little bit on the first one, on the lights?
Yeah.
Somebody came to the planning board and they said, no, you can't have this?
No, the opposite.
They said, yes, you can.
Yeah, and I guess my point is it's become a little bit of a obvious
it's well known now. We've had 2 public hearings, in 2 different years we've had public hearings on this regulation. Everybody knows that our zoning ordinance says lights have to be on off at 11 p.m. However, my point in that last sentence there is that the planning board, like for Taco Bell, for example, we all know that there's a regulation that says 11 p.m., yet the planning board is approving planning board cases that come in where they're proposing to keep the lights on past 11 p.m. It's almost become regulation that, is completely ignored.
Okay.
And so that's why I thought it needed to go. If we were to all of a sudden
Because
turn
they're
around.
open.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 24-hour-a-day businesses.
Wendy's, Applebee's, there's any number of them.
Right. And
Okay.
even places that aren't, I mean,
So how
security's.
do you- Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we really, that's where my disappointment came from. I think those were easy fixes to clear up let's focus on the first one. I thought that was an easy fix to clear up an obvious issue. So now we've still got that regulation on the books.
So that
and-
they voted not to clear that up.
Right.
So, at this point, I'd like to make a comment that I'd like to be on the record, because I'm one of the ex officio members of the planning board. And I do want to say that long before we had the public hearing, and we did have the input from the public, when these came up, I made the comment, and I was against putting this forward, because this lighting ordinance has within it a grandfather clause that in 10 years, and that date will be March of 2019, there's no more grandfathering to this ordinance, which means not only will lights have to be coming off at 11 o'clock, but all lamp poles in parking lots cannot exceed 15 feet. So there were many parts to this ordinance that I felt needed to be corrected, not just lights off at 11. I mean, that's easy. Switch your lights off at 11. There's no real cost to a business. But going around to a business and saying, excuse me, these light poles have to be shortened. There is an expense. So I do want to know that I was not influenced by those publics as a planning board member. I was influenced by the whole lighting ordinance, which does need to be re-looked at, and not just lights off at 11.
So now you're in a conundrum because now you have to enforce this.
We
Or
have,
how to enforce it legally. Okay.
yeah, I mean, potentially a lawyer would, or, whoever we seek guidance from will say, no, your best bet is to not enforce it. And if that's the recommendation, then I
And I
suggest
agree
that's
with Dory that it is time that we, as the town and the planning board, does seek that legal advice, because as I just stated, there's a lot more than lights off at 11 p.m. that they're going to expect to be enforced this year. That's going to cause some great hardship and expense.
Can I ask a question? If we knew that this is going to be a problem, we know it's a problem, why are we throwing the whole thing out instead of saying, okay, we're going to make a correct ordinance that fits things better? And like, for a perfect example, we have a neighborhood with the lights from the football field that go on that the neighbors complain about. We solved that. If we throw it all out, they can leave their lights on all the time, and then all the neighbors get mad again. So instead of just throwing the whole ordinance out, why didn't we say, well, let's file for special exception, or whatever you guys would figure out normally in something like that? I mean, this is not unique to Tilton,
Well,
but I think
So-
the intent was to keep neighborhoods from becoming,
Actually, it might be unique to
But-
Tilton. It was fashioned off to New Mexico.
but having
Lighting.
lights in parking lots in residential areas, that is not unique to any town in this whole country, or I would say the world, that there should have been, I mean, is there enough time to get something through to go onto the warrant that fits our needs?
I don't
to
think,
throw it all out?
I don't think there's time. It's possible someone could do a petition. I think there might be more leeway on a petition article, but I'm not.
I think
No,
petition warrant
tomorrow's
articles have to be in by February 3rd, don't they?
Yeah, it would be tough. It's probably not like realistic to try and do something. I think that because the planning board, within its site plan review authority, can set conditions that so you throw. My thought was throw out it's just a single line in a long lighting ordinance. letter M of a long list of items. It said, my idea was to pull that out, and then, just as the planning board does and will do, they may set a condition requiring lights to be off at a certain time. Or the planning board is, I would say, very good about considering light nuisance from lights. So that's the way it would be handled there. Yeah, it could certainly.
Can we just get that done, or could we make a warrant article to just go and say, we would like to allow people to extend the previous ordinance that was due to expire on such and such a date for the period of 1 year while we make an ordinance and have some public hearings on it and get it done by next year.
I don't believe that these go on the warrant. I believe these go on the ballot.
On the ballot.
ballot.
And
I'm
I
sorry,
believe we
on the
have
ballot.
missed the dates
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
you
have
missed-
the public hearings
On
to
the
get
ballot.
these as ballot questions.
Yeah, zoning. goes on
For
ballot.
this year, hence the reason that we have
If we
work to
agree,
do on the ordinance
But
for
if-
next year. And they need guidance from an attorney on
So
how
we
they're going to
agree-
enforce this.
if we agree to have guidance from an attorney, we need to put extra money in the budget for that, because my recollection, the last time we set guidance to the attorney on that whole drug alcohol unit up on Autumn Drive cost us quadruple what we thought it was going to cost us to guidance to the planning board. Does that- And I don't mean that in a negative way, but we, unrealistically, we thought
Yeah.
in terms of it's gonna be around this much money, and it dragged on for a long, long time, and it was astronomical amount of legal fee.
Yeah, because this isn't pertaining to a particular case, I don't think there's as much risk of it turning and morphing into something bigger than we thought. I feel like I could either meet with, or Al and I could meet with an attorney or communicate through email and really just say, look, what we're looking for from you is, some specific questions, but really, we're looking for the parameters of what may and may not be grandfathered, and we're looking for, basically, we're trying to create an enforcement policy, and sort of, I can prompt that attorney to kind of say, should we be, and sort of lay out some various scenarios and try and get him or her sort of
Yeah.
quickly focused on, with
The
hours in mind, on what we need exactly. Whereas where it was that other one was a case, we really didn't have as much control over where things might go.
Perhaps you could get an estimate.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that's what we,
I'm in favor
I
of
have
him
an
seeking
understanding.
guidance. Within that, get an estimate, but I am
Yeah.
definitely in favor.
now I understand what's going on, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
What else?
Yes, yes. I can kind of fly through everything else is on the back side of this memo. It's all, I have it under informational. The zoning amendments are set now. I included an attachment that has the 7 zoning amendments that the planning board put forth. Despite what my last topic of being disappointed with those 2 being left out, I am very pleased with what we've come up with this year. And I appreciate the hard work of the planning board to get that done. Master plan, we obviously, we need to make progress on the master plan. I contacted Steve Whitman of Resiliency Plan, I can't remember the actual, anyway, I don't know, many of you may know Steve. He's a outstanding land use planner. And just to talk to him a little bit about some of the work he's done with other communities. In the interest of time, I won't go into too much detail, but he talked about towns like Littleton, where he completed a master plan for them for around $32,000, and then he talked about other places like Derry, where each chapter they invest like $32,000 in each one of their chapters. So it's a conversation that it was really a very preliminary conversation, just kind of an information gathering consideration. But I know we have to be realistic about the amount of hours that we have to spread around in the land use office, and I just wanted to at least, expand my horizons going into this, so I don't know if you have any questions or whatnot, or anything on that, but I just wanted to fill you in on that conversation. Highland Ridge is the cluster development just north of Country Meadows. As you may recall, the three-party agreement that you executed authorizes for the third-party engineer, Keach Nordstrom, to conduct inspections and then make recommendations to us for drawdowns to the letter of credit. And they've issued that first request, that first inspection has taken place. So just wanted to let you know that's what's happening. They're moving through, and I'm going to send an email tomorrow authorizing Bank of New Hampshire to instate that first reduction.
Who has the agreement on that credit? The Board of Selectmen or the Planning Board? I mean, the land use.
Sorry,
Who signed the agreement?
Board of Selectmen.
So we should make the decision.
Okay.
Technically.
Go ahead. All right, go for it.
I mean,
Okay.
technically, no, too.
Okay.
Because since we did sign it.
So do you guys want to, if you want, the materials are right here. It shows.
You've read through it.
What's that?
You've read through it? You've seen
Yeah,
it?
I mean, I've looked through it. I feel,
You're concurring.
yes, because it was, these are the recommendations of Keach Nordstrom, and because, so, yes, I concur. Put it that way. I'm not claiming to have some, very
You don't see any
in-depth
reason why
knowledge.
not to.
I don't
though.
see any reason why
And it's just
not
a
to.
partial.
It is a partial, it's less than half.
Is there something for
Yes,
us to
yes,
make a
there's,
motion?
yes, thank you. I think the last 2 pages in your handout, the second to last is the inspection report, and the last is the actual dollar amount of $257,230.85 that would be released.
And the 382 is remaining?
Yeah,
Okay. So you want us to make a motion on the 257?
I think Kevin would really like that, yes.
Well, Kev. So I will make a motion that we, and I'm looking for the language, that we allow a credit reduction on the Highland Bridge letter credit of $257,230.85.
Second.
Are we done with that?
I think we're gonna have a little bit of discussion. Should it be? What do we require?
They're not tied into our system.
Does anybody have
We're
any
not approval
more
yet, right?
questions on that? Clarifications? You all set? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved.
They're running your community type system.
I have
Oh,
a
yes,
question
I'm
for
sorry,
Doug.
the septic system.
So not on that subject, but in this packet that you gave us, so this is your monthly or whatever, semi-monthly, however you come to us, in monthly. And we spent an awful lot of money on a software management program, and I don't see any report from that
Right.
monthly.
Right,
That
that's actually
works.
the next item on the, so yes, I did not submit a report this year. I wanted to ask you how frequently you would like reports from
I
our.
want to see how it's working.
So, okay,
Did you give them last time, Dawn, didn't you give them?
I did, I think I've given you, yes, last time I gave you
Well, the last one
reports.
you gave us, if I remember correctly, you said, well, it's just sort of like a temporary, brief synopsis kind of thing. It wasn't really a full report that you were gonna do. It was just a brief,
Right, I think the first time I handed anything out for my works, I said, this is just to give you a sense, but I didn't, the
Sample, yeah.
last time I was in front of you, I did give you an actual real, like a
And
real
then he
report.
went on to say that the next time that he presents, he would do it on a full screen, remember?
okay.
So,
Really? Every 2 months?
Yeah, so when we're upstairs, I think, yeah, we said we could probably
Right.
Show it
do
on the
something
wall.
on the
Yeah.
wall.
So maybe the next time that you're
Sure.
scheduled to come in?
And I can do it at the next one, and then I don't know if, going forward,
Not every month, but
yeah, okay,
like,
It's an
okay.
idea.
All right, I'm gonna,
Walk us through it a little bit.
I'm gonna put a note that I'm gonna definitely present next time, and that a minimum of quarterly, you want reports, is that?
Yes.
Okay. Present in February. Okay.
sounds good.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Housing Standards Board, there's a meeting now set for February 7th at 1 PM. I understand that that doesn't accommodate all members of the board, but we actually have never been able to accommodate all members of the board. So that was the best we could do. So we will be getting together a week from today, Housing Standards.
Why don't you
Where
have
is
them
that?
at night?
It was, so, I asked Sheena to do a little bit of research into what times might be available for some of the members, and that's what came about.
So if the public wanted to attend an open public meeting of the Housing Standard Board, they can't because it's in the middle
Yeah,
of the
I
day.
mean, I appreciate
But some
what you're
would be
saying.
able to in the evening.
Yeah,
your
I
evenings.
can't tell you how much, I mean, trying to schedule one of these meetings has been very difficult, and for some reason, more so with this board, it does seem people seem to be upset when we schedule at a time that they can't be there, and I think we've come to the realization that we just can't.
Well, I think one of the things is that if you're representing the public and you want the public involved, most are working during the day, so we're automatically excluding people that have a regular 9 to 5 job. They're automatically excluded, no matter what. And
all
I
right, so
don't know what the percentage of Americans are that work the standard hours, but I'd say that it's a pretty high percentage, so we've automatically wiped out that.
When you tried to do it at night, did you lose most of your members?
That's my recollection, yeah.
So
They'd only get
Well,
That
paid
doesn't
dark,
work either.
they'd only get Dari night.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you
How-
need new members.
How many
Well, the
other
mem-
boards do we have in town that meet during the day? They all meet at night,
Mostly, yeah.
Not all of them.
Right.
Mostly.
But you have,
unless you,
so this board is made up by the ordinance of specific people,
Okay.
which is
Al.
Al, the code enforcement officer,
We'll
the
get
life
later in that.
safety, Tim, and
Tim's
myself,
only-
and a
Tim,
tenant, a landlord, and I think you.
Right. That's 7.
So like I said, I mean, Dari and I were very flexible in our hours, but others are not.
But
We
see,
don't have any control
All
over
those
them.
people that you mentioned are on payrolls with a flexibility, and it's considered town business and can show up. And I'll bet you the two that didn't is the tenant and the landlord, but it's just, I don't know.
Al works nights.
Al works nights.
So,
But
Al
we
would
can't
be able to-
dictate to the life safety officer from the fire district when he can attend meetings.
but the email that went out didn't go to any landlord
I don't know.
I think
on
Heath
the
Gain-
appointment.
Heath Gainer, or it must have, because he replied and said he's gonna be there.
Okay, well, on Shayna's email, I'm looking at who was invited.
Somehow he
Okay.
found out about the email and responded that he'll be there whenever we wanna have it, so I don't know. Is it, oh, she'll be CC most of the recipients, so you wouldn't see.
No, this is the Google Calendar. Housing Standard Board meeting, Thursday, February 7th, 1 to 2:30. Who? Sheena, Selectman Fogg, Land Use, Tim Joubert, Al LaPlante, Catherine Dawson, Chris Ruth.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. I'll check in with, or I'll check to see if Heath is aware of the meeting time, and we'll make sure he's there. But he indicated that he could be there for all the times. Make sure Heath.
Just that, I think that some of the most important are the tenant and the landlord to include, because that's
Yeah,
different than an enforcement side.
yeah, our
They're the
tenant,
ones who are field enforcement, they should have, those are important people to keep there.
okay. Well, I guess, I mean, we can make this the last thing. Bittern Lane, possible transfer to MB Tracker. So recently, when I was before you, we talked about the possibility of transferring Bitter Lane to ME Tractor. Since then, I've reached out and heard that they would be amenable to possibly doing that. So I'm sort of coming to you asking how we want to proceed on this.
Refresh my memory.
Yeah, it was suggested, we, at this point, if everything stays the way it is, the town would need to be the submitter of a driveway permit to DOT for allowing for the increased use, kind of like what happened with Paula Heiser's case, the sports center. And when I came to talk to you guys about that, you had the good idea of maybe saying, well, why not possibly turn the whole entire road over to MV Tractor, and then it's no longer a town road, and he can deal directly with the state as far as access and whatnot. And so I just sent, passed the word along to MV, and I got a response back, I think it was through their attorney, saying, yeah, we'd be interested in possibly talking about it. So.
Then you don't have access to the pond.
Or you don't have access to the old Agway building.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't, so
From a-
it would have to be a warrant article, because we're discontinuing a road, I believe. So you wouldn't have time to do it this year.
Okay.
So maybe it's moot, but you'd also, for me, I'd want to talk to the other property owner on the street, which is the former Agway building. I'd also want to talk to my public works director, because I don't think we included the first part of the road in it. So if we were gonna keep that,
We'd still have to apply for the driveway permit.
we'd still have to apply for the driveway permit. But how would we plow that section of the road? Where are we gonna put the snow? I don't know where you put the snow now.
We got
Barely in the wetlands.
So would you like for me to have conversations with AutoServe and with Kevin, or do you guys want to have those conversations, or?
I think before that, we ought to be looking at complaints and wetlands issues, because we've got a recent wetlands complaint.
Okay.
They plowed
Well,
snow
again, it
into the
might-
wetland buffer.
Yep.
It might be moot, because I don't know if we have enough time to go to town meeting with the warrant.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
discontinue.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess we could have warrant articles
I mean,
on due until February.
On the other hand, maybe it's more of a long-term thing.
We're gonna rush it.
Yeah, there's no money involved in it. You can do it, but do you really want it? I mean, like
That
Peter
rush-
said, do you really want to rush into something like that and make a decision on that quickly?
So we can continue the conversation.
Right.
You reach out to the other folks and see if there's
Okay.
interest.
If
If
there's
they're
an-
truly interested, we could do it.
If there's interest, then we can work on it.
And as as Selectman Fogg just touched on, we have gotten, just since you brought it up, 2 complaints now. One, both from the same individual. Upon receiving the first complaint, we issued a letter, and Al received a call in response from MB, asking what they can do to come into compliance. And then today, we received another complaint, and Al went over to MB and had a discussion with the facility manager. And the understanding that Al left with was that they were going to actually move some of the snow that they had piled in the buffer area out, and with the understanding that what they did should not be done again. So that's where that stands at the moment. Other than that, I've got a quick list here. Workshops, met with Justin Slattery at Belknap County Economic Development Council, Mid-State Regional Coordinating Council meeting in Concord, and then, as I talked about, with Steve Whitman for master planning. Let's see what else. The MV Tractor complaint we talked about, and then just to let you know, there's 21 Chestnut Street. We suspended the occupancy and posted the building. Some of the,
Is that building vacant currently?
I think it is. Yes. Just have to check with Al to know for sure. So other than that, if you don't have any other questions, again, thank you for your
I have
time.
a question, so we got 2 complaints, we sent them a letter, don't do it again, we hope that they don't do it again. Do we send them a complaint or a letter saying that If you do it again, you will be fined this amount?
The
Or-
letter says,
I mean, these guys, and a lot of people always just keep doing things, okay, yeah, we won't do it again, then they do it again, and it's been going on.
it's true. And yes, we've been having some conversations about, you know, the fact that we can't obviously just keep sending letters and just, you know, never have any consequence. The letter that we did send did make clear that consequences, you know, if it continues to be a problem, I can't remember the exact wording, but, you know, additional actions may be taken, something like that. And I think, you know, we're probably at the point where additional actions could be forthcoming. You may recall that we do have a procedure in place, essentially ready to roll, if we do have what we believe to be a wetlands violation. And that in combination with the first matter that we talked about tonight, I think we could get some additional information about, you know, when it might be time to go forward with that.
And both of those properties have snow storage areas on their site plans,
True.
none of which include the wetlands buffer.
True.
So if they confine themselves to what their site plan, there would be no issues whatsoever. They've
Right.
taken the easy way out because it's easier to plow across the road,
Yeah.
I think.
Some of the snow that they're putting over there is actually in the wetlands. The
Not
wetland-
just the buffer, but the
Yeah, the
actual.
Well, yeah,
wetlands comes
yeah.
up almost to the road, and
Yeah.
it curves back down, so when they're pushing it over, some is in the wetlands, some is actually in the buffer.
Yeah. Because that whole grassy area is part of the buffer.
Well, like I said, you'd have to look at the map, but it does curve right up to the road, that's wetlands,
Yeah,
and then comes down.
yeah, I remember from when we were doing bid.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't have the town's boundary in it, so it's kind of hard for me to
Mm.
determine
It's right about the culvert.
where the buffer and the wetlands
Oh, all right.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, voluntarily, I would hope that they would put some type of temporary sign, no store snow over here for plow guys or something like that, or in the future, what we've done with a lot of lots, had them put up fencing or rocks or a physical barrier that's aesthetically proper to discourage that from.
What does our public works do with the snow on Bittern Lane?
We just plow into the road, turn around and plow out. We don't stockpile anything there.
Oh. So it just goes,
It just right to the edge of the road.
okay.
If they're pushing into the wetlands, it's they're doing with their tractors. John just plows in, wing and plow on the ground, picks up, turns around, plows out.
Yeah, we'll go on right on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. So we have, this job description
Yeah.
is from you wrote?
I mean, the green is what the changes that I made based on
Okay,
my understanding of where we want to go. I mean,
okay.
obviously it's an us thing, not a me thing.
That was all. Do we have a job description for the technician? I looked online, I couldn't find one.
We have one, but it's not been signed by the selectmen. It was drafted April 17th.
Could we
along
get
with
copies
all
of those drafts? Yep, I got them right here. All right, that'd be great. Thank you, Derek.
Okay, thanks.
I've got one thing. Can you enlighten me on the ZBA decision with the dog kennel after I read these couple sentences here?
Sure.
Under RSA 674:33, 3 votes are necessary to change any administrative decision or to decide in favor of any matter legally before the board. If there is not a full board, even with alternate serving, the chairperson could give the applicant the option of postponing the hearing until all members are present. If the applicant chooses to proceed with the hearing, he or she should be advised that a hearing before a 3 or 4 member board will not be grounds for a rehearing in the event the application is denied. And it'll go on further that a tie is a denial. So the original vote, as I recall, was 2-2.
Right.
And now we've come back a second time and it passed 3-2.
Mhm.
So My concern would be is any abutter who happened not to see it, sees that, files against us for not complying with 674-33.
How did they get a rehearing?
It wasn't a rehearing.
Well, was
It wasn't a rehearing, it was a continuation of the case. The case was simply continued.
it?
How do you continue after a tie vote?
You vote to continue because no decision has been reached.
But wasn't
You
there-
had a decision, 2-2 is a failure.
I see what you're saying. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying. Again, if you don't mind, I'll just read directly.
Okay.
I think that I had an opportunity to speak with Attorney Margaret Burns from NHMA. She and I agreed that the language of RSA 676.3 suggests that a failure, and this hits on some of what you're talking about, that a failure to obtain an approval equates to a denial. It suggests that. It doesn't say it. However, we also discussed that RSA 674:33 explicitly states, not suggests, explicitly states, that the concurring vote of any 3 members of the board shall be necessary to take any action on any matter on which it is required to pass. She and I agreed that this would lead to the conclusion that the board's failure to obtain 3 affirmative votes for any of the 3 motions, 2 of them were to approve, 1 of them was to deny, made at the October meeting meant that a final decision had not been made on the case. I further described to Attorney Burns that it was evident to me that the board could have eventually agreed upon a set of conditions that would have resulted in approval at the October meeting. And the videotape reveals that if Jim, one of the members, had added one more condition, at least 3 members probably would have voted to approve. But the board was showing signs of fatigue, and I knew that ZBAs have recently been granted the same statutory authority to continue hearings that planning boards have always held. So I explained to Attorney Burns that given these facts, I decided to advise the board that it may be acceptable to continue the case. Attorney Burns recognized that the case has since been decided at a subsequent hearing, and she expressed that the board's procedure on this matter constitutes a reasonable interpretation and application of statute. For future cases, she did advise that the board should continue its deliberation to a point of greater finality before making motions to approve or deny. So that would resolve that slightly awkward situation. But we were in agreement that what was done was legal, despite what you cited there.
Well, you're citing 673, so I guess we'll have to contact her on 674, the next chapter, because...
No, I didn't cite 673. If I did, I misspoke. I said 676:3.
Okay, well, you're in 676 and I'm in 674.
Sure, and then I also cited 674:33. So again, she and I agree that the language of 676.3 suggests that a failure to obtain an approval equates to a denial. But it's explicitly stated in 674:33, and I'm quoting here, the concurring vote of any 3 members of the board shall be necessary to take any action. So that's where we,
Give him a copy.
yeah.
So in other words, then I just twist an arm and I can get rehearings all the time.
It wasn't a rehearing. It was a continuation of the case.
Well, whatever semantics we want to use, you had a vote that said it fails, now we go back door to...
We didn't have a vote that said it fails.
2-2 is a failure.
It's the motion fails. The motion, so no motion carries.
And according to 674, a 2-2 tie, if you lose it, doesn't mean that now I can rehear because I didn't have the full
You
board
can't
before.
rehear, right.
Okay, so can we
Yeah.
Yeah, we go...
take a look at that and see how that applies to it, and we can set something?
So I'm gonna have to write an email so that I can cite specifics so she can respond, because it's...
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
That. Because,
You look tired.
Alrighty, moving right along, DPW. What's that? Yes.
You shouldn't be tired, you should be used to all this snow by now.
Oh, yeah, no, it's all good.
Oh, what's... Every storm, MUR's been, what, double the
I
prediction?
know. The one the other night was a surprise to me when I woke
Tis
up.
the
and
season.
material.
Right.
I didn't expect to have
Thank you.
inches of snow. I had a
I sure can.
So, look at this. My week monthly update. Everything is going very well. Continuing maintenance and repairs on the police cruisers, all of our snow equipment is,
Yeah.
These are stapled with the 7 pages.
We took it all out of it.
oh, did I forget to staple some? Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
they're that.
So I guess I am a little tired.
There's a stapler right over here. Anyone else?
Oh, yeah, this is upstairs. That's it.
Oh, thank you. It's nice, isn't it?
Thanks, John.
So we put the bottom line. Each one.
Oh,
And then.
oh, there's two.
Two. 4 pages? 4 pages.
Sorry.
You got that on camera?
I just got cold. I threw them on.
Did everybody get a Cedar Street upgrade project?
Yep.
Eugene?
Yep, I have Cedar and Main Street.
So an upgraded, winter maintenance policy? Okay, so. Yeah, big week. We, all the snow equipment's running good. All the guys are in good spirits. I did bring in John Boston, this previous storm, to help out with his wires out. And I also have him helping out tonight with Main Street cleanup because of the CDL license. He's helping run the 2 trucks. To help expedite that as well. I was able to get permission from the state to have access to the catch basin next to the town hall and get in there and make the adjustments so that that drain drains properly from now on. I checked it this morning and it's still draining properly. There's no water collected in the pipe. So I believe we weathered that storm.
Does anyone have any question about what happened? He did his own
I got
reply.
a drawing of the backup failure.
Now, is there a heat tape in that pipe?
No,
There is no,
No.
should there be?
no, because it's supposed to drain dry. If there's
Okay.
waters in that pipe, there's a problem
And the drain out here is to the gutter,
to the gutter.
and that does have a heat tape.
That does have a heat tape to stop from freezing and to melt the snow on the edge of the roof. That's why there's constant water there, because it's constantly melting snow. With that blockage, the catch basin, that was taking the water from not only the roof, but also the gutter, forcing it into one pipe. The overwhelming water, with all the restrictions in that pipe, caused it to back up. and freeze.
I thought the gutter drain just flowed over the sidewalk.
No, it was tied in last year, or the year previous, it was tied into the roof drain underneath the sidewalk.
Many years ago we did that.
And
Well, it wasn't that bad.
when I exposed the pipe, there was gravel, old heat tape, and a bunch of other debris in that pipe. So now that we have access to that pipe, we can put it on a yearly or bi-yearly cleaning regimen to keep it clear.
Very nice.
So
That makes sense.
No more excitement upstairs.
No,
Thank God.
no, when, yes, and I removed the heat tape, so that's no longer an issue, because it was faulty, it tripped the breaker, so there's potential there for some fire accidents. So we removed that right up.
Does Public Works plan on replacing the tiles, or will you have that subcontracted out?
The tile was in
Seal.
seal. I believe that was subbed out to a contractor.
Just wondering when the other one's gonna fall before they fix it.
Did you want to see the spear, or go back to that? I think he's,
Just nice little visual cue there. So yeah, all's good.
Do
I
we
didn't know
have-
the process with these RFPs and the winter maintenance policy. I just wanted to hand them to you and give you time to go through them, and maybe we can meet at a later date to fine tune.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Absolutely.
We need to have quantities because we do it like this and they're bidding on different quantities and it's never apples to apples, so we need to get some square yards, whatever, to
Yardage.
figure out the tonnage and all.
Okay. I did think of that, but I didn't know if there was gonna be too much information.
And then on your sidewalk one,
Yes,
are you doing just one course, 1.5 inches?
yes.
Check around, I don't know if your multi-one is gonna stay on it or go through.
It's not even.
That's generally,
So should I treat it like a road as far as, doing a base and?
probably, and I don't know about that 14, fine grade and do it pretty much as quick as possible. They should be able to compact it enough.
You don't wanna let it sit for the winter.
The sidewalk, no.
The sidewalk, no, the reason why it's left open is so that we could have an electric company come in and run conduit.
They should do that before the paving guy comes. They can cut and you can always,
I don't remember how we did up front.
I was just trying to expedite and make things easy for each contractor.
well, that's providing your electrical and your paving, and that does not, that's all.
Okay.
How did it work up front?
So I imagine the electric contractor is gonna charge us to cut pavement. to run
Why wouldn't
conduit.
we pave it and then cut it? Isn't that what
Huh?
No, you
Steve
don't cut
suggested?
through
No,
brand new
he's
paving if you don't
suggesting
have
that-
to.
That's what I'm saying.
He's suggesting that the conduit be run before the paving company comes in.
Before they rip out the
Yes.
existing.
We cut the old.
Yes.
So my thought process was come and have the
I see
paving
what you're
company
saying.
come in, rip up all the existing pavements. Now they've got just fresh gravel, they can lay their conduit, and the paving company comes in, does a fine grade, lays down the material, everything's nice and pretty, conduit's already there. We don't have added costs with the electric company having to cut asphalt to lay their conduit. That was my thoughts.
My only concern is you got your compliments on maintenance of snow removal. I think you'll get the opposite with dirt and mud if we have a couple weeks of gravel. That's,
No, and I did think of that, and,
but what we would do is like with the electrical, we'd be marking it out so we could saw cut ahead of,
okay, no, I see your point.
because otherwise I think you may get into logistics with the two.
Yeah, the other thing that I could do is I could go to each business owner and ask their opinion of what, even if it's to lay down like some type of mat
Mhm.
for people to walk on before they enter their business. So
I see.
just to see what their thoughts are.
I think the missing conversation is with the electrician. I don't remember
Yes,
how it went
it
out
is.
front, but it seemed to be smooth.
Okay, like I
So-
said, that's why I wanted to give it to you, so you can take a look and give me some.
So we're going to want to talk to you again about this, and
Yes.
what is the target date that we want to have this finalized and ready to roll? So, and
When do you want to have it done, first off?
Have it ready for
July
next
4th.
week.
No, I mean, when does he want the work done?
He
Yeah,
says
so
Do you want it
July,
done,
After July 4th, but before
He's-
August 1st.
says July 4th to August 1st.
Because I didn't want disruption for Old Home Day, or Old Home Week, the parades and things.
Yeah.
And I didn't want the disruption for the 4th of July holiday. It was-
What about the 150?
That's throughout the year, correct?
Yeah, the big one's right after Old.
That's
Home.
the 22nd.
It should be a big-
I mean, like I said, this is just a draft, so we need to suggest.
So,
When
do
do
you
we
think
want
you
to-
could fine tune this for next week?
Fine tune it for
Well,
what?
the suggestions that Peter made.
I could, I mean, I guess I would have to contact the electrician and see what his
Could we try to do that
timeframes are. Sure.
without holding it to the fire?
Another question I need to ask is, are we gonna send it out as an RFP for multiple electricians to bid on, or are we just gonna use the town?
I would do it multiple. In case you've had trouble with the one that's been doing it, getting feedback, so.
Yeah, I have no objection.
Okay, so I can do some more research and come back to you.
So you'll come back next.
So we're gonna wanna do that quick because
so
they're
that's
busy.
good. So next week we'll schedule a follow-up, and maybe Peter, if you have some other.
I got one other thing for him. You want to do the wearing course in 2020, right?
Yes.
Don't even put it on this bid then. Asphalt prices, they have enough trouble getting, on private jobs. If fuel goes one way or the other, they can get screwed big time. So what I would do, for this year, just do the 2-inch.
Okay, well, I
Cedar Street,
put an escalation clause
There's
on the next page, so whoever signs off on that.
Is that the same, if you're gonna do an escalation clause, talk to DOT then.
Okay.
Well, they do it on theirs all the time.
Mhm.
The problem is, the further out you go, the
The
more
harder it is.
uncertain, the harder it is. And you may be, to me, it may be better to wait.
Mhm.
And then what may happen next year, we'll do the wearing course on these and maybe binder on another
Okay.
type thing.
So very good.
I would, the extra year out is a big unknown, and the escalation gives you some comfort, but.
Okay. Very good.
during the storm, I don't know if all you might have noticed that they did a pretty good job on Morrison Ave digging.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Yeah, there's quite a few holes and rip and tear, and there was significant amounts of water and muck being pulled out of the ground, so I don't even know what's under there anymore.
Okay.
So,
We received a very nice compliment from one of the business owners downtown about how downtown looks and how you're doing on the sidewalks and whatever. I don't know if you'd heard that, but
No.
they were
It's nice to hear
appreciative.
good stuff.
Owned the business for 21 years and
Oh,
never seen it any better than this.
Compliment.
So
Was that,
kudos to
I
you
said
guys.
I know.
Well, he didn't say who, so I didn't know if it was Barrett.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't
I forward this to
No,
you.
no, I got it.
Oh,
I was just
you didn't know if
speaking.
that was
I didn't know if that was.
Oh, there was
Oh,
a different, another
oh.
one. Well, it should be.
No, that's great.
You get all sorts
I was
of
like,
compliments
oh,
about it. And I have a concern, I've noticed the last several weeks that there is a good amount of overtime. And I certainly appreciate everything everybody does. What concerns me is the budget and the amount budgeted for overtime and how, that's been taken into account in the budget lines. And I just wanted to make sure that, because I looked at those, the amount of hours, it's like, well, good.
Yeah, but I am pretty excited to say that we have yet to have a 95-hour week. My predecessor, there were 4 or 5 weeks each year where everybody got 95 hours with similar storms. So I would like to think that I'm.
Well,
that we
a
are
total
being
of
efficient.
100 hours just was like,
No, I understand.
just in
I
general.
understand, and when I'm calling guys in to do storm work, I'm adjusting start times to try and minimize and maximize usage.
I
and all
happened
that,
to
so-
notice in the last one that there's one particular employee who shall go nameless in this conversation that has significantly less hours than some of the other people. And I was wondering if there was anything to that.
There is. There is.
Okay, well, then I won't even ask you about it right now.
No, no, I
Well,
feel
I'll follow
confident
up.
in everything that I do, John.
Subsequent to this, but another time.
Okay.
Peter?
Kevin, have you used any of the asphalt calculators online?
I have no.
Okay, Vulcan Materials is a decent one. I can email you. On grinding, that's usually by the square yard, so you take your linear feet by width, divide by 9, we get the square yards.
Okay.
So on anything of those, if you have issues, you can email, call me, whatever, and I
Awesome.
can help you through it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I've just gone through your draft maintenance policy. And one thing I looked for in particular, so we have a sidewalk in town. It goes along Route 3 over 93. That we made a list of very low priority sidewalks. And that was
And that was on
suggested to us by an attorney, but I don't see that on its list of, it's listed with all the other sidewalks. And it's not given that low priority.
Okay. So, why is it low priority? For the
Because
3 years
it's not
that
a
I've been-
sidewalk owned by the town of Tilton. We
Okay.
never signed a maintenance agreement with the state to maintain the sidewalk. The pretty expensive litigation that took place
$160,000.
never resolved the issue of who was responsible for
Okay.
plowing the sidewalk. So that's why the attorney at the time advised us to, let's put it on this list, and they used a case, and I believe it came from Alaska, of low priority.
Okay, so low priority means that it's done
When you have a chance.
when I have a chance.
Right.
Could be a
So
day
it
of
could be a
so.
couple of days of sub-zero weather and all the snow is.
Or you may
off
not plow it at all.
there. Exactly.
Right.
What you talking about, Louis?
So,
Don't we have a legal opinion that says we have to keep the sidewalk open?
No, we
Then why did
don't.
we
No.
pay all that money?
No, we have a legal opinion that says we'll make every effort to get to them, but we have priorities in town that we have to get to first.
She just made the
They are.
statement, we don't plow it at all. Now that would.
Or we may not.
Or
plow
we
it at
may
all.
not be able to get to it,
That's right. There was
because
no
we have priorities.
There was
And that,
no-
that's the legal opinion,
final decision
Right.
in that case.
absolutely.
No one, no
Didn't we
attorney.
pay our
Okay,
few
so how you doing
bucks
with the
money?
Kevin?
And that was the
How is it
determination.
working out? Let's
How
let
is
Kevin
it
talk.
working?
How is it working out with the sidewalk? I think you want to respond.
There's a progression of how we tackle the sidewalks. We start at the school district, we go to downtown, and then we go to outside town, and then Silver Lake, Lockmere.
River Road,
River
Church
Road,
Street.
Those, it's a progression of getting them done. So I didn't feel that it was necessary to put low priority because we're never going there first to get the sidewalk there done. We're at least going to the school, and so it's a progression. If I have to dictate or if I have to outline it on paper, then I can do so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
have
should
to.
look at that file and see what we were advised by the attorney in line.
So
I think,
we're gonna
Jeannie,
meet
if you
on,
can,
we're gonna meet on this next week, so can we, we know some
Can I say
areas we need to touch on.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I think, Jeannie, you can assist him by looking at the case, which is now history in a lot of other legal schools right now. In that case, the Tinker case. And that if you look at our attorney's advisement in that is why we prioritized our sidewalks. We should incorporate, highly recommend incorporating the progression and prioritizing sidewalks. You can assist Kevin in relating that information in here in the new winter policy that he wants to do.
It was to help us to be, from being challenged again.
You're right, it cost us $160,000 on a sidewalk we don't own.
Yeah, that's good information to know.
Anything else? I don't know if somebody took it out or removed, but you know, the outlet that's in front of Town Hall for the tree?
Okay.
It was like partially buried in the snow, and I was worried that someone come along with a plow or hit it with the snow blower, or somebody helping out shoveling.
Okay.
I didn't know if you had a stake or
Oh,
something.
mistake it, maybe.
Yeah.
Marker,
Sure,
sure.
maybe, somebody might have already done it,
Might
taken
have.
it out, I don't know. I used the back door.
Okay, I'll take a look.
I have a question.
Sure.
I see on your report every week, on your weekly report, I want to know how much time we're actually spending on that ice rink, because every week I go up to that ice rink and I don't see any skating marks on that ice rink at all, and we're spending labor, resources up there.
PPA?
I'm really wondering whether or not it's worth our time and effort to do that.
The reports that I've been getting
Mm-hmm.
is that there have been people using it. In
Okay.
fact, I've gotten requests to build nets for people to play hockey.
Mhm.
A couple of people on the police department are requesting nets there as well. So it is being utilized.
When I go out and walk around and there's like little skate marks. That's the,
Okay.
I mean, you guys are maintaining it, but there's very, and I shouldn't say no, there's very few skate marks.
How
So
much
it-
time are you actually spending a week on this? DPW labor,
8 to 10 hours?
a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we just purchased that liner and put it up, and made the effort to make it nice, and we're gonna maintain it.
Listen, if
The
it's
first-
gonna be used,
the
I
first time-
don't have an issue with
We
it.
didn't get to it quick enough the first storm, and we actually saw shovel marks where somebody had cleared a small area with a shovel. It was awesome. Somebody's utilizing it. Okay, we're gonna maintain it on a regular basis now, keep it nice. And, yeah, the person that I sent out there with the snow blower said he's been seeing people on the ice.
I haven't been up there in 10 days.
There are schools that are
There is-
asking about it, and it's
Um,
used for
I
their.
think
I
that-
would love to see that thing used.
I think that if there was additional lighting out there for nighttime, that it would get used more, because it is kind of a black hole. And people are afraid of the
I
dark.
It's off at
feel that
11.
Ambient light from the lights that are on after 11 spills over into the ice rink. When I was a
There's
kid, we
a,
never had lights and we went skating at night all the time.
There's
Sure.
there's lights at the parking lot, there's lights on the snack shack.
Jay Jill's, the whole
I'm not
area.
sure.
There's
down
lights up there, because I went up there at night.
Yeah,
Well, you
there's
got
lights on
the
snack
Tanger
shack.
parking lot does a decent job on the north end. And
Yeah.
10 to 7.
All right, I just wanted to.
We're not doing real bad.
I'm trying to text them.
Just a reminder that you all wanted, to talk with Kevin about the warrant articles, the two reserve funds. So I'm handing out new ones for you, because
Yeah,
I'm
those
gonna
are
make
the old ones.
some changes and additions. And you'll see, we can talk about that later, but it's Article 5 and 6, which would ask Kevin to give some input into.
I asked if those amounts had come from your recommendation based on their
Yes.
highway equipment capital reserve fund, the common roads, bridges and capital, what you planned on doing for sidewalks and roads, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of self-explanatory. But I wanted to know if those figures,
If they came from me,
if they were adequate for your
35,000.
needs,
oh, adequate.
Adequate,
for
correct.
what your plans are.
They are adequate, yes.
Do you have estimates on what you think the two paving bids are gonna be yet?
Not yet, no. I wanted to get authorization of the RFP first.
Well, I'm just
not sure
thinking-
how would I go about getting an estimate on something like that if I don't have particulars?
Well, you're gonna have to get a ballpark on dimensions and all, for starters. That's step one. And then you can usually call one and just say, I need a ballpark budget one, and it'll be a little on the high side, or should be.
I have had conversations with Tim, and I said
Well,
that
my concern, we're putting 74,000 into the roads, et cetera. Last year, we spent 100, so that's a loss of 25. Yeah, we're not sure what this is, so we're depleting, not actually,
There's
just,
a balance.
no, I know there's a balance, I just want to make sure we're not on a trajectory the wrong way.
I did put some thought into that,
Yeah.
Pete, Peter, and that's
Mhm.
because, that's why I broke up the projects into multiple, so that we could charge
Right.
separately.
Mhm.
And maybe carry some of that cost into next year's
Mhm.
budget.
No, that's fine.
But I could definitely get some estimates as early as tomorrow on the project to make sure that we have the funds.
Yeah,
available.
make sure we put in enough money
Because
to,
I do realize that in the highway fund, that there is some work being entertained on Academy Street that
Yeah.
might need to be,
Yeah, and that's a
used up as
conversation
well.
we'll have about that RFP.
And we're talking about Winnisquam. Up by Winnisquam, the Mosquito Bridge area, Winnisquam Market.
What about it? The wearing course is gonna be done this year, but that should already.
And we're talking about the expanding into the area.
Reclaiming the area that they have expanded onto our property,
where is that?
Yeah.
and when it's gone.
The old Route 3.
We're gonna deal with that as a separate.
There's a bunch of encroachments.
About 8 feet from the curb,
Mhm.
all the way up into where the condos are, the market, the former
power sports thing.
Yeah, that's
Lobster
their
Connection.
property, right?
No,
No?
that's ours, yeah, all the way up to basically the edge of the Winnisquam Market.
The corner of
You
the
know what
mark, yeah,
you know what
the part of the
curbs-
sidewalk is ours,
You know
right?
what the curbs are, Joe?
Where the Winnisquam Market
The
is.
marks,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
That's our
building
property.
sites. Yeah,
And
that I
that
knew.
goes all the way down the whole length.
Uh-huh.
And everybody's encroached on it, and part of the plan last summer was we got that done, and then to expand that so it will allow for parking.
So-
Yeah, yeah.
So it
Okay,
sounds
I
like
missed
we'd like
that. I
that we
wasn't
need
here.
to touch base
Keep-
with
keep-
Tim and.
Keep an eye on that. I just couldn't get surprises.
No, I appreciate that, and I can start making phone calls and getting some rough ideas on the cost of the
Just
project.
touch
Is it-
base.
I don't know, I'll be honest, I have no idea.
Have you,
It'll be a learning curve.
have you updated your highway equipment?
Thank you, Tim.
Rosewood?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
considering
don't want to
the,
buy anything this year.
no, but I mean, considering the trade-in and the things that we got, and
I have no idea what happened with all that,
I know,
and I don't even think about it.
well, you're gonna need
Going
to.
forward, I mean, our equipment is in good shape. I don't foresee having to buy anything this for a couple of years.
So-
Right, but we need a plan, hence the reserve fund.
So, yeah, but the other thing is maybe we look at 5 and 6 and cut that 35 down to say 10,000 and put 25 into the 74, bring that up to
Oh, I see what you're
99,
saying.
just
I see.
Well, there's
Reallocate.
135 in roads and bridges right now, just south of 135, because they just went last.
Okay.
And I
So-
believe
So
that,
this would bring us up to over 200 grand, which I don't know how that plays out in the whole, what we're going to be doing.
Have you updated the town's roads, bridges, and sidewalk
Which roads get done?
Well, no,
are
and
you trying, are you trying to get a rise out of me?
No.
just sending you over the edge.
Not till
Get you
tomorrow.
cranked up before you have to go out more.
Okay,
plan? But you
so,
will.
Oh, yes, most definitely. I mean, I just started having to redo my 10-year road plan because all the measurements are
This
wrong.
is just exciting.
So
yeah,
every one of the
Let me
measurements.
see if I can find Dennis's old one and share with you and see how that matches to Brock's.
Oh, I have, that
Okay,
was,
so
I have it upstairs.
Just to keep things moving, we got a lot of stuff to do, we got a lot of stuff to look at, and we've got a meeting to get going. Great job, thanks for, you know, all the help with the, what I refer to as our synchronized swimming.
Yes.
I have another question.
Do you?
I do, but it's just a curiosity question.
Sure.
Do we have more than one sidewalk plow? Or did we just have somebody who was very nice in the neighborhood? Because this morning when I came in, I saw 2 plows doing the sidewalks. I saw one up there and one coming down School Street.
What colors?
Oh, I don't know.
Blue? Blue is ours.
Do we have one or two?
Just one, we just
All
have.
right,
We
then we
traded.
just had a thank you private
maybe
citizen
Tilton
who
School,
just.
maybe Tilton School is
Tilton
fine.
No, this one was ours. This one was
Oh.
ours.
So the
Maybe
one up there
Maybe
was-
Franklin got confused and just kept coming.
No, so we just had a very nice Samaritan that was helping out.
Oh,
That's
The
what we
government's
had.
not legalized that yet, so I don't think.
So thank you, nice Samaritan.
Okay.
I was just curious.
Peter
Thank you
takes a
very
lot
much.
of pride, I mean, yeah, Peter Fife, he takes a lot of pride in the sidewalk.
I saw him working the sidewalks and he does.
Thanks.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, have fun.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Kevin.
Have a good night.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kevin.
We're not doing real bad, we have the town administrator's report.
So, the first thing, you should have a copy of my report. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the draft language for the warrant, and I can get, unless you want to, get Jason's signature, if you want to.
Jason. See, are you hanging out, or did you have something that we need to be on your?
Just to follow up from Tuesday. Yep,
Do I
otherwise
think-
it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's tough to make a decision while running, so, you know, get a little ringside seat.
Oh, there you go.
Sure. What would you like to do?
Well, we can take care of Jason, so that at any time, if he
Okay.
gets an emergency or anything, he can.
Nope.
Okay. So, I did, at your direction, I did call Tom Flanders at Jensen's, and he advised that he didn't require a letter of approval. He just wanted to know that the town approved of the move. for example, wanting to know that the taxes have been paid, etc. He stated to me that he has a good relationship with the town and he wants to keep it that way. So that was what he was looking for, is just wanted to know you guys were okay with it.
And the taxes have been paid?
I did check with Jason, and I also checked with our town clerk, and she provided me the documentation that the taxes have been paid. And then, then I spoke with the town planner and the code enforcement officer. I actually went up, sat down with them and had a conversation. And they advised that, and this is where it's coming in, is that per the USDO, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, any manufactured housing installed after January 2000 must meet the specifications and standards as of April 1, 1995. And the trailer is 1981 or 1985.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And upon installation, it will comply with
Right.
HUD standards of 95.
As long as it complies with those regulations, it doesn't matter what vintage the trailer is. It just complies with
Because
the
HUD
regulations of
regulates it, and if you
95.
read the HUD standards, it's about the blocking, the 95 changes were about blocking and underpinning and tie down.
So they come up and they check
Yeah.
like a regular electric and that permit?
The 95 revision has nothing to do with electric.
So
Well, I'm
all you have
just-
to do is get a certificate of occupancy, right?
And just
It's gonna have hurricane strength.
full disclosure, because I went through this with them, the same thing. I was advised by the code enforcement officer that the 1981 or 85, whatever it is, would not meet the 1995 standards. I asked how he knew that, if he had looked at it, and he said did not, but he knew that 1981 trailer would not meet 1995 standards.
Fine. Did you mention
Which
why?
standards? Because he's willing to upgrade
Yeah.
to a bunch of standards. So if that's the case, then
I'm just telling
No,
you
I know.
that. So-
And I'll let you guys all know that the manufacturing standard changed in '76. This trailer is placarded with a red label that was required and meets the HUD standards of the manufacturing standards. The 95 revision and the subsequent, I believe 99, which is actually, when you go to HUD, on the HUD site, it's actually 1994. They only did 2 revisions, 94 and 99. However, if we're calling it the 95 revision, it's got to do with setting it on the path, the blocking, and the attaching it to the site. Which if you go where it's at now is not, but upon moving it, my
It has
choice
to
is
be
that
good.
it would be attached. I don't need the thing rolling into the Winnipesaukee River.
So there isn't anything that says it can't be moved, it simply says it must apply.
It must comply with the,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
This is a far cry from the conversation when code enforcement said it has to be a 2000 or newer.
so as long as you, and what I'm understanding is that he's free to move it and put it onto there, and then
It has to comply.
it will have to comply to the 1996, and as soon as it complies to that, you are
Good to go.
good to go.
Exactly.
So then you should be good to go.
I would think.
So if you feel that way, I'm happy to call Mr. Flanders back and tell him that I've spoken to Selectmen and you say you're good.
I don't know how I could object. How could we object? I don't see how we
It's
could.
a private,
Yeah. As
Well,
long as
again-
it complies
again, I
to the
think-
CO.
Right, again, I think that in speaking with Mr. Flanders, he was just concerned, he said, I have a great relationship
It's very
with the
nice.
town.
Mhm.
We don't want to ruin that, so I just want to, I don't need a letter, I just need to know they're okay with this one.
Now,
So does Jason need a letter from us
No.
saying
Just
that
a call.
he's okay to move the trailer as long as it complies with the,
he doesn't even,
Doesn't have to
No,
comply.
No.
Because-
You can move it any way you want.
Because if he moves it, and then our code enforcement officer goes down there to do the inspection certificate, it's got to comply. If it doesn't comply,
Right.
it doesn't comply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that point, I'll
Right.
so you move
get a
it,
permit
then
and blah, blah, blah.
you do the regular procedure and it
It
gets
would be
inspected,
silly to
you
move
get
it
your
if you didn't
occupancy permit,
intend to
you're good go.
comply. So, right?
Right.
So we know it just needs the inspection after that, and you're good.
I'm just trying to save him the trouble, that's why I was saying a letter, not because of us. I was just trying to,
I
No,
don't
it's a-
think we should send a letter,
No.
just let Jeannie call and say the taxes are
Right,
paid.
if,
not
if,
to Tom and not.
if you've
We don't
satisfied
see
with,
any, we don't see
Tom
any
needs,
object, we
he'll
don't have
give-
any objection.
I'll get
That's-
permission
What's
from
in the past? She's,
I wasn't
Hold on,
concerned about
one
Tom,
second.
I was concerned about Jason in that aspect of it, that's all I was concerned about. Tom is fine, I get that, have Jeannie call him and do that portion of it. I was more concerned with Jason being told by the code enforcement that he couldn't do something.
Well,
And
that's
now
another
the Board
issue.
of Selectmen say, yeah, you can, now you have this, one party says yes, one party says no. Does he need something from us, the documents, and we said yes.
Our minutes will document it.
it's in your minutes, but I'd take a memo,
Wait,
because you may not have the same code
Okay,
enforcement
you're a
officer.
front person for taking care of this, and Jeannie's gonna take care of all this and express all of our feelings.
Make sure it's
To the-
documented
to the
properly in the
document.
minutes,
Yeah.
explicitly in the minutes, that
Gail's gonna
as
say
long
that.
as it's right,
Good.
we're good.
All right.
If I need anything else, I know where to find you. Thank you for the time and, doing that.
Excuse me, I gotta go get a hug.
Oh,
Never mind.
Just like a Me Too moment.
okay.
Wasn't me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bob said yes over the weekend.
Okay, we'll keep going here, and we've got Jeannie, first doing her administrative report, so let's everybody hold it down.
Yeah, yeah.
So
good to know.
For 30 years.
Because I've been looking for one the other night for 3 hours.
Since Lauren has been in town
Perfect.
since 2006. MC&G was appraised in 2014, and this request for appraisal is for 2017. And Lauren said she wouldn't ask to have an appraisal done if she didn't feel that it needed to be done.
See,
So,
that comment annoys me.
so we get an appraisal and it's good for that year and that year alone? Is that what
Right.
she's telling us, or?
That's it.
Apparently.
Things
Yeah.
change.
They only assess the town, what, once every 5 years? I mean,
Yes.
my God, it's
Do it.
expensive.
All right, so.
I say do it.
Somebody, there's only one signature line. So-
Okay, you guys want to make a motion?
That's what annoys me from
I
Lauren.
make a
She's done this
motion
forever
to,
and ever
That's
and ever.
not,
And
that's not too
It's
long.
not
I don't-
long.
I'll make a motion.
I make a motion to authorize John to sign the document on our behalf.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Jeannie, can you write this?
Opposed?
She forgot.
I'm opposed
Oh.
to
Okay.
having
Who made the motion?
the
I did.
approval of
I
having
seconded
the appraisal done. I don't object to you signing first.
Well, that's all it was, is for John
Well,
to be
so I'm
authorized to.
saying no, because I'm against the appraisal. I just don't think an appraisal is only good
Aye.
for 2 years or 1 year.
All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Aye.
Just now?
Yes, Kathy.
Okay. All right, I'm not going to read the second one for you. It's just a follow-up to a question that Catherine had about what John Radigan was offering for free training, so you can read that. And all the other things are just FYI. So if you turn your attention to the back page, this is something else you asked me to follow up on. Can you see it? Yeah, on the back page of my
Hold on a minute.
report. I don't feel like I need to read that out loud.
Wait a minute.
No kidding.
Oh, really?
Really? Now, we weren't told that last sentence. We were never told that.
Wait a minute. This is, what are we looking at?
Oh, we're
bullet.
looking at that
The
one
bullet.
right there.
Oh, yeah.
Always taking it as the gospel. I've been told over and over and over again that that was the case.
And it would make sense.
The first part, but the last sentence, we were never told that. We were always told another job would have to be found.
No,
Within.
Can we frame this, please?
yeah, no. And then, you know, to the,
And to this stirred up. Does anybody else know about this?
Can we put the town seal on that, please?
does anyone else know about this? No, I mean, no.
It is not common knowledge yet?
No.
Amongst the
No.
others?
So the other, there was a discussion about hostile work environment, and I asked, how do you deal with that? And the recommendation was that last paragraph, that you have the authority as a governing board.
I love it.
So what they're saying is it's okay for elected officials to do hostile work environments.
No, they're not.
Well, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, you can, look at the next
We're beginning to
paragraph.
discuss what we discussed in non-public.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
We can create an official code.
But
Let's go with the.
that's what you pointed to isn't a penalty.
It is.
Well, it's
There's
not
no-
like.
Should we go into, let's make a motion to go into non-public per RSA
91A:3 personnel.
personnel. We have
Second.
a motion, we have a second.
Constantino, yes.
Wasn't it?
Fog, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We're on a roll, folks.
Nice job.
I would like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to personnel issues permanent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved unanimously. And thanks everybody for sticking around the camera. It was very brief.
So I have a couple quick questions for you. Who wants to do the selectmen's report for the annual town meeting?
Town report to me.
Oh, yes, town report.
I was
sorry.
thinking about
Yeah,
that one.
The annual town report. Happy to help, but I'm 3 months into it, so whoever wants to do it, I'm happy to sit down and have a discussion and draft something up, but.
I've done it before. Maybe the chair.
Pointing like that's got a nail in it. Don't
Maybe
be
the- maybe
pointing,
the
that's
chair.
got a nail in it. Don't be pointing with that.
That's true.
I'll try with everybody's help. I'm not real great. I have a tendency to ramble on. If,
I mean, and
Jeannie can help
if
with
you,
you.
if you wanted to give me, I
don't
don't know, I
know.
wanna work on it, just give me some points, things that happen, and I'll try to put something together. Happy to do that. Academy Street, the RFP for Academy Street, we were gonna reissue that in January, and then I wondered, I don't believe we put anything into the budget, but Tim seemed to think there was enough pushing in the budget if we ended up sending the RFP out again, that 34,000, if it came back the same. But I've had discussions with various selectmen about this idea of reaching out to other people in the community to see about maybe there's a less expensive way to get an opinion on how to address that issue.
So some of your larger,
The water issue? The
road.
wall?
The wall, the
the
retaining wall.
erosion.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for, direction from you. How do you want to go with this?
Checking with someone like Beck and Bellucci to see, can we put a cofferdam down, leave it so that the drainage will still go, but it retains the wall, and you can put the wall next to it, as opposed to engineering and everything, because that's gonna be, I think, another
That's
zero.
near the aqueduct?
Their offices, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's a sketchy.
Mhm.
If you talk to someone like
Yeah.
Beck and Bellucci, the
Yeah.
bigger companies, they have enough experience that they could look at something like that, see what's happening, maybe take some soundings. And, without going through an engineer, they may be able to say, well, if you do this, this, and this.
Okay.
Yep,
All right. So
But you'd
that's-
have to go to some of the bigger,
right.
um,
I'd stop there.
Okay, that's what I'll do. We need to schedule a candidates night. Do you want to do it after an abbreviated selectmen's meeting or on a different night? And we were thinking last week in February.
closer to the election,
Election day, March.
second Tuesday in
It's
12.
March.
March 12th.
March
March
6th.
12th.
Actually,
March
Last
12th.
week, last week of February.
Okay.
We were looking at possibly February 28th. On the 28th, you have right now on the calendar the chief in for his report. We could move him on to the 21st of February and do Kevin Dye and the chief on that selectmen's night, or leave the chief on the 28th. We also have Annette Sarno coming in. She and her husband want to talk to you about the
On the 28th? I would just leave, knowing Annette and Mr. Sano, I would leave them only, and then have candidates night.
The chief could be abbreviated if you'd stop reading his report to us.
Well, that means he would have to send it out prior to the meeting.
Does it then?
He's very capable.
Which he's been doing.
Do we always,
3 o'clock last week.
have
Yeah,
we
we-
always done that?
Yeah,
Have our
last
secretary-
week he
He was sitting
Wednesday
and Catherine
night.
sent it out.
Candidates night?
Yeah, the week before
Because
that.
we have more than just, we have school.
We invite them all.
We invite all candidates to be on the ballot.
Okay. So do you want to do it on a Thursday, or would you rather do it on Wednesday, the 27th? Or,
It's budget hearing night.
I
Oh, no.
I have right now for the calendar, February 13th is the fire district public hearing, 14th, which I need to talk to you about, is we want to Tim, and I guess he's gone, on the schedule the 14th for the bond hearing, for the police, the property.
The 14th for the bond hearing?
Yeah, and I need your approval on that, because I need to send that out tomorrow.
But what did you say was, the budget public hearing is the 6th, but then,
The
where was the fire district one?
13th.
February 13th. So I can put this chief on with Kevin and Gary on the 21st, so that's all you have on the 21st.
Yeah, Tim is back.
And then the 28th, you have on that Sarno, and you do the candidates.
For the candidates, we're not gonna start them till what, 7?
I'm not gonna be here on the 28th. I'll be
on the
in.
21st.
I'll be here. I'll be in meetings.
That whole week, Pat, or?
Yes, the whole week I'll be gone. It's school vacation.
Yeah.
The March 7th is the Thursday before
Yeah. and
voting.
I have on the schedule that you want to meet with the moderator. So I suppose you can meet with the moderator, I don't know, is that too late to have a
I think so.
On which night?
March 7th.
Voting is Tuesday.
Typically,
Do you wanna have the
the newspaper
21st
covers it.
candidates night?
for
The Wednesday?
No.
No.
No, the previous
Sure.
The previous Thursday.
Sure.
Okay, so.
And then switch Bob and
Yep, yep,
The Thursday before the election?
no. The
So,
21st.
the 21st candidates night, and then Bob and everyone
Okay.
here, and then you have
Depends on.
election here.
Because
Whether or
typically the newspaper
Moderators
throws
not.
all this stuff in there.
Yeah, and you'll have plenty of time to get the newspaper, 2 weeks prior to that, you'll have the newspaper,
Okay,
1
so,
week.
so you're good for the 21st, for the
So
candidates.
candidates night, the 21st.
Yeah, and then on the 28th, we'll do Dari, the chief, and Kevin, and Annette Sarno.
Oh geez, I'm missing
We
And then,
can,
and I already talked to you
like,
about,
do a face
your
thing.
video.
FaceTime.
Yeah,
FaceTime, yeah.
I talked to you about the bond hearing for the police station on the 14th, and you're okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay. I think that's it for my questions.
I do have one question. Bullet point number 2 under FYI. It says that Attorney Radigan has offered to provide a free training. Free, it says free, for ZBA and planning board members. I've never known an attorney to do anything for free, and I was wondering what.
He did it a little bit last
2
year.
years ago,
Yeah,
right
he
the
2
door.
years ago.
Yeah.
He's been very good about offering.
Yes,
I think
yes.
those are great topics.
Yeah.
No, I'm just curious.
Yeah, he's
And
done it.
actually, I take it back because Attorney Green came in and gave talks
Yes.
about various issues. So I'll shut up. I'm shutting up now.
Mhm.
I know you don't believe it, but I am.
Okay, that, and that's it, other than we need to go over the, unless you have any questions for me. Actually, I think I got another issue, which is BKM Mechanical. When we had the leak, we had them go down and do an evaluation, and that $85 is which is what he charges will be paid for through the insurance company, but I also asked him to look at overall the boiler, and you know the concern we had, and actually he pointed it out that night, so he did give us a quote to replace the circulator, the flange, and the gaskets, $620, and an estimate on replacing the return pipe, $800. So it's $1480, I think it is, something like that. So that's my question, do you want?
Under 15?
I think it needs to be done.
Yeah, it needs to be done. Is this something that he could, if he has the parts even stock, I mean, it's running, it's not leaking, it's not making any noise at this time or anything? If he has it in stock, that maybe we could wait till.
Can we get the insurance company to pay for that?
That's not, that was.
No, this is just wear and tear.
But I'm thinking if we could,
Get
you know,
through
have
heating
the
season.
parts, get through the heating season past the town meeting when we have money, because it
Remember
hasn't
what he
failed,
said?
and I looked at it, it's rusty and everything, but it does not look like it's about to, like, just blow up.
So right after town meeting, we'll have them do it.
It would be nice to get through the heating season,
Yeah.
because when you start working on old boilers,
Okay.
things can happen. And
It can happen, and I'll have to come back tomorrow.
They get janky, huh?
I don't want to be without heat in
I
this
will-
building,
I
it's
will
too
add-
old.
Yeah, I'll ask him that, but I also would just be, and see what he says.
Yeah, see what he says, yeah.
Because I'd be concerned to want to wait till March and then have everything blow up and give out and have another problem. So I'll ask him, and I think he probably said that, didn't he, Gail, that he thought it could wait?
Yeah, he said he was
Look.
aware of, yeah.
Okay.
It's a big preventative maintenance.
How much noise is the pumping?
Just
He's
like
aware of
that.
the noise,
It's
but
not a-
wasn't concerned.
It always hummed.
And always, right after they come, they go to the drip. They have water that comes out through there and that lasts a couple of.
All right, so are we on
That's,
selectmen's reports?
well, we want to do the town warrant. Can we do the warrant articles, get Tim in there?
Okay. We did warrant articles already.
Not all of
Just a
them.
little portion,
Just the what?
a little portion, and I don't remember, was he okay with these, or did he want to revisit?
Don't we already talked
Well, you can hear me.
We looked at them, I don't think we talked about it.
I thought we did.
Oh, that's at 567. We didn't even look at the new language that was put into Article 3, we didn't have any conversation about that whatsoever.
You told her what language to put in and she did.
Okay, we just
So,
look at it and say, yes, that's good.
I did make that.
Okay, let's move forward real quick. We already did it, we passed through this one.
I did make the change that Catherine mentioned, which added the words "and for other municipal purposes." What you'll see, if you hadn't noticed, is that I also rearranged per the Department of Revenue Administration advised that the property and the soft cost, the A&E, needed to go up front, so they are now Article 3 and 4. She also advised that Article 10, which you see now, that should go after 3 and 4, but I talked to Tim about it, and he said that in the past, this is the way that you've always
Yes.
done it.
Yeah, it comes at the end.
But she, DRA, said because of the 10% rule, it's very,
We've
shaky.
She
historically,
would like it,
we've never
Yeah.
listened to
but we
DRA.
like it where it is.
Right.
All right. I'm-
All right, so I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 3.
Can't we just accept the whole thing when we're done?
Maybe not.
Everybody else said? We have a motion to accept Article 3. Do we have a second?
Or do you wanna go the whole thing all at once? You wanna go the whole shebang? I might not wanna approve
Oh,
five.
okay, go ahead,
No,
save the
that's-
time, go ahead.
Okay,
let's
we
go.
have a motion to approve Article 3. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. One,
Then so moved.
one nay.
one night?
Yeah,
Oh, one night?
A night.
Joe.
Jeffrey.
Okay.
Move right along.
Number.
Here's the time. Make a motion, we recommend Article 4.
Motion to recommend Article 4, seconded by
Okay.
Kathleen. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Tim, on 5 and 6, I asked Kevin, I don't know if he said anything to you tonight, or he was heading out. Where our equipment is pretty much up to snuff, I was thinking maybe cutting the 35 to 10 and dumping the other 25 into the road bridges.
You can certainly do that, yeah.
Where,
And
especially
most
because like
equipment's
last year we spent more than we put in, so I just don't want to get to the point where we can do that nosedive.
Yeah, I mean, the Ford 550 is fully outfitted are about 100, 105, maybe down the road 110, if we continue to go that route.
I would,
You know.
yeah, the next one up is going to probably be the International, the
91,
99.
right?
The 99.
Yeah.
One we've been babying.
Yeah.
No, well, the 91, the 90 was the baby.
Yeah, we got rid of the
We got rid of it.
numbers.
I thought the
Oh,
99
didn't know
was-
that.
Yeah.
Didn't
I
know
thought the
that.
99 was the one we just had the trouble finding the transmission.
Something that's like that for a while.
You look in the weather
Yes.
maintenance policies,
Yeah.
got the list.
Right?
Yeah,
That was,
Okay.
but if you got the transmission, you should be good for,
right.
Theoretically,
yeah.
but it was used.
Without exactly.
So then we'll make a recommendation to,
Move 20
we'll,
into that. So,
Pick a number, I just,
do we know what the future needs are for that? fund
Well,
is?
so obviously a lot of the equipment was replaced recently. I did discuss with Kevin the pickup truck, which is what our former public works director said we need to replace within the next year or two. And, but it's not, like the 550, it's just the.
that's what, an 08?
It's an 08.
An
and
08
Kevin
GMC.
said that'll last a good another 10 years. So,
Oh, it's been maintained
if you-
regularly.
really, I really don't see anything of high value unless we have to replace, a piece of equipment.
Does Kevin have any idea on the 99 International, how much longer we'll get out of it?
No, but I think we're probably good for a few years.
Only because that one will be
That's
pricey to replace. I don't know if we want to.
Remember, we did the spring work.
Yeah.
We did, we put a lot into it over the last couple of years.
So it makes sense to what Peter
Mhm.
says.
So I don't, just pick a number. I don't care how we split it.
Well, if you put 15 into it, then that'll give
15
you at least
and then
50.
20 over to the other.
Gives you 50, so
That'll give you 15, that's
yeah.
probably good.
and so Article 5 is 15,000,
Mhm.
and then Article 6 is
94.
94.
That's your
I
motion.
move Article 5 for 15,000 for
Second.
highway capital.
So we have a motion and a second by Peter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I move Article
So moved.
6 to be amended for,
I just wanted to say something that, depending upon what your road, streets, bridges projects are, you should still keep a little bit of money aside, just in case, there's some repairs that are unknown or, we obviously don't spend the entire amount that we're gonna have in that account.
I wasn't planning.
yeah, we're not.
Right, we just want to make sure.
We'll
we-
change the
I just
amount.
want to keep going this way instead of that way.
Right.
Change the amount to 94,000 to be added to the town's roads, bridges, and sidewalks capital reserve fund, and recommend this article.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Okay, Article 7,
I have a question on Article 7. So this was described to us that we have enough money in there, that we didn't need to raise any money, right? This is for revale.
Revale.
Is there a likelihood with this contract of any other charges beyond what's agreed in the contract? Amendments or extra work or anything that would necessitate having more than the contractual amount?
The contract that we're paying now is $71,004. So if we put the $10,000 in this year, we'll have practically half of what the next reval will be.
Okay, but my question
So
is, do we
I just
ever
don't-
exceed the contract amount?
If we have,
Any reason?
we've expensed it out of legal, and
Okay.
it wasn't clear. I think we did have to have a consultant, pay for a consultant on a few
I remember that.
PTLA hearings, but they weren't, it wasn't a considerable amount of money.
So we just absorbed it
was less
within
than
our,
$5,000.
within our budget?
Yeah.
So if we put $4,000 in there, we'd be at approximately $30,000.
I think it was 6.
$6,000, it
Yeah,
would be
there's-
$30,000, which is 45% of the 5-year total. Doesn't seem like putting money, we're not getting any, what's the word I'm looking for? Interest, thank you very much, you're psychic, on that money, so why would we raise it if we didn't need it? I know, I had this conversation with you about I wanted to make sure and
Well-
stuff, but upon reflection, making sure, are we gonna continue to put that in and then have money for the next, I mean, $4,000 is $4,000? Well, no, we would reduce it by $4,000
Oh,
under that scenario. And if we didn't put any in, we would be good.
right, yeah. I mean, as long as you stick to a 5-year schedule and the next contract is, within a reasonable amount of what the last contract was.
If we didn't put any money in this year, what would we be putting in next year?
I would, we'd probably be, by next year, we would have a contract with an assessing firm, hopefully a 5-year contract that would outline the reval cost at the end, which we could apportion over those 5 years, less what's in the capital reserve fund.
We're kind of starting
So-
over again.
Yeah, I mean, I believe we're at the end of a 1-year contract that we did with Avatar this last year, so, right, so what we do,
That's
if let's say it turns out to be $80,000
Okay.
over 5 years, you'd take out the 23, so you'd be looking at $57,000 over 4 years. And,
So it sounds to me like we should put
You know,
something in
you're
here,
looking at
but maybe not the
$12,000 a
full
year or something.
10,000.
5?
I mean, it's a year where the rate is fairly reasonable, so, I don't, this is not a year where you have to scrimp and save, but I just felt, originally I felt as though we had sufficient money in there that we didn't need to add to it, but if we have sufficient, whatever you end up putting in this year, it's just less we have to add in the future to meet the contract.
That's how we have to do. Say 5 to just keep money,
Well, I would make a
just,
motion to
in a
change
couple
that.
years maybe.
Change that number to $5,000 from $10,000.
Second.
Motion and second to change the number on Article 7 from $10,000 to $5,000. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One, that. Eight?
Make the motion that we recommend the article to raise and appropriate $2,000 to lake improvement maintenance capital reserve.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second.
Discussion.
Conversation.
Discussion.
Joe had his hand up.
I do have one. Currently, we have over $9,000, not like 9,900, but we have $9,000 plus in that account. And I was just curious as to, on average, ballpark figure, how much comes out of that account every year?
Well, it hasn't been steady, but this last year, the Conservation Commission, who are the agents for the fund, did provide a $2,000 payment to, I can't remember the name of it, it was called
Watershed,
Yeah. And, but prior to that, there had been several years where it wasn't used at all. And we had put in 1,500 for several years, and it had built up.
Again, we're not getting any interest on that money. And to raise an additional $2,000 from taxpayers, some of whom have a hard time, to put it into account for 34 cents of interest or whatever, a small amount, it would be just, I can't vote for that.
Are there any monies that come from the state that help with the milfoil eradication?
Yeah, but you,
I think they're
That supplements it, there used to be.
They have some promotional stuff that they go out there and they sit there at the boat ramps and tell people what it looks like.
No, there used to be a program, the gentleman that was running it, I mean, this was years ago, because I was the creator of this milfoil account. No, he passed away. Nice fellow. He was an incredible fellow. And at that time, the state was helping. It wasn't a lot, but there was some money that they would.
Well, if they have people who are applying
If I
for
could
it.
explain some of the stuff that's coming up with that. Well, presently, we did get, we gave up the $2,000 last year to a consortium that joined together as a nonprofit to go and start working on the lakes. This is the first time we've actually had an organized, put together organization doing it and professionally done and hiring professionals to do it. One of the areas that they did not do yet is the through Jay's Marina, which is really bad through there and coming out of there and starting to work down along that side. So that we're looking at to draw at least another $2,000 to do that. And on top of that, we'd like to go and encourage them to, and some of the people that did do the work, the private contractors, to start moving on to Silver Lake and start going downstream. I think, yeah, we did cut back a couple of years ago because nobody was doing it. We had a couple of guys that wanted to pull weeds and that was it. But now we finally have professionals that are doing it and a course of action. And, my thoughts are to keep funding it for this year so we can move on to Silver Lake, which is, and I took my boat out there and it was, my kayak was very difficult to paddle.
Here, you know, that Silver Lake is choked, the outlet's choked completely, and then the little low spot over near Ashlot is nothing but milfoil. It's definitely, and Silver Lake Association for years just came down and picked up a check. Not sure exactly what they did with it, but be that as it may, they stopped, when we required professional results, they stopped doing it.
Yeah, we stopped giving, they came down, they didn't have any plan or proof of results from previous, so
Yeah.
we said, get that together first. But now we have professionals that are doing it, and they did some great work.
But that, if you approved an extra $2,000 to go to, you know, what you were talking about, that would still leave us with 7.
No, well, yes, 7, but we'd only be getting Jay's Marina and that, then we wouldn't even be starting Silver Lake. And
But you
now
don't have a
that
comprehensive plan for Silver
The
Lake.
previous, exactly, and previously, the other part group put together, that we put the 2,000 into, did most of the other areas and was paid for by the other towns. Well, now we're getting into our town, solely our town frontage that is going to cost us more for that. We only had a small portion when it's gone that was addressed in previous one. and
It's sort
this
of
one.
what Helen had said the last night, Tuesday night.
I agree with Joe. Without a comprehensive plan, I think there's plenty in there to take care of this year's needs.
I don't think we're down too low. I'm all for this project, and I've supported it extensively in the past. I support it now. Give them $5,000 if it gets more of the milfoil taken care of, or a plan in place going forward. But I hate to raise money I don't have to, and I don't see as I have to in this one. Because we got money. Come get it.
Yeah, until we're spending 5, 6, 7,000, that's, why put it in an account that's gonna
And
get
in
next to nothing
in
interest?
future years, if they came back and it's like, oh, we need $5,000, then I would stand right up there and say, hey, they've been doing it, they've got a plan, I'm all for this.
Me too.
So that's my thought.
Ready for the question? All those in favor of Article number 2, say aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Article 2.
8, I'm sorry. Good.
Yes,
Count
okay.
again.
Number 8 for 2,000.
It's getting ready. All those in favor of Article 8, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
So that would be
2,
2 for, 3 against.
9. So does it go in as not recommended by the selectmen?
Not recommended.
No, we don't have the warrant article.
We don't have to put this
Yeah.
warrant article out.
Why put it in?
So take it out.
That would be my motion.
So how does it get removed from the, is that part of the budget, do you have to?
No, this is our
So-
warrant, this is the selectmen's
So-
warrant.
Control
Why do-
X.
Why do we even have a thing that says recommended or not recommended by the selectmen?
Because if it goes
Because if we don't
forward,
recommend it, then we don't even need that line.
if it goes
crazy.
forward, then you'd recommend it. If it doesn't go forward, then you take the whole thing out.
So when I put the warrant together, I just said recommended by the selectmen, and Tim said, do that.
She was
Give 'em a
just being
choice.
progressive. She's being progressive.
Well,
So I said, you can recommend it, I wasn't making a choice for you. So that's why it's there. Right?
right.
Make a motion that we
Petition
accept,
also.
that we recommend Article 9 to be put on the warrant article. Warrant, I mean.
Second.
My brain shut off at 7:30.
Aye.
To the fine,
Aye.
no, wait a minute, there's a conversation part here.
We have a motion and we have a second. Who is the second?
Joe
No, I
was.
think Peter was the second,
Oh, Peter?
Peter.
technically, yeah.
You know,
My question is
Discussion.
that there's no money down here because no money is changing hands in the conveyance. But this means money. Down there, this means money. And if we're gonna put up the wall, again, the engineering costs are borne by us. If we're going to take this on, the bridge becomes ours. The maintenance of that island becomes ours, which, in theory, Northfield has paid for half of this or has been obligated to, regardless of their funding levels. That falls all on us. So is this something that we just, oh yeah, it's not gonna cost us anything? Or, I mean, there's a cost to this, even though it's not listed in here.
We still have to go back, and even though we have monies in there for engineering,
We did.
and that we put monies aside, we still have to go back to town meeting and say, do we need to spend the money to get an engineering, and this is how much it's gonna cost. If this takes place, and we do own the island, if we do a major event like that, we have to go back with the warrant article and say, this is how much money it's gonna cost to fix that wall, and this is how much
I
it's gonna
get
do
that, I
that.
get that, but there's maintenance, ongoing maintenance costs
We do that anyway because they're not
I
helping.
think what Joe is trying to say is that when we present this warrant article, in order to be completely honest and truthful with the taxpayers, we'd have to reveal that they will be, if they approve this, taking over all 100% of the responsibility for cost of maintenance, which includes any maintenance on the bridge.
Mowing, arbor,
And
the
wall.
bridge, all of these things are going to cost money. They cost money now.
Well, which we do now.
Here's one of
They
Free
don't-
budget.
But he
And-
wants it disclosed.
Yeah, I get what he's
Okay,
saying. yeah.
here's the reason why I think that we should do it. First, Northfield doesn't have much interest in improving it, repairing it, or keeping it from even washing away.
Oh, I'm all for taking it
So,
out.
the other problem is that when there are grants that are available for doing these things, most of them require a down payment or a partial contribution.
Mhm.
We have money put aside for engineering. We can't get Northfield to put money aside for engineering. They don't want to do it, so we can't move forward. So it can literally wash away, because we can't just do it ourselves.
Mhm.
We can't apply for a grant that requires equal funds unless Northfield agrees to apply for the grant to fix the island.
I'm all for
Same
taking
thing.
taking the thing. I'm
And
just
that's why-
saying that there's money in, there will be money involved to the residents.
And I think
suppose
That's
that should be
why I
brought up.
recommend that we,
Full, with full disclosure, we have to say, yeah, you're absolutely
Okay,
right.
okay,
Right.
all right, I'm good. So I'll call the question. How's that?
any more discussion? Just question. All those in favor of Article number 9, which is now, let me read,
Turn me on that.
Which is 8, that's right.
Yeah.
The article formerly known as 9.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Before we vote on Article 10, I have a
9.
question for the finance office. Or 9.
Formerly
It's 10 on my
10.
paper.
Formerly 10.
10. Are we premature in putting those figures in there?
Why?
Because we know when we go to town meeting that the budget can be amended on the floor and changed.
We never put those
Yeah, but you
figures
have to
in
have
there.
a starting
You
number.
have to have a starting number.
Starting.
This is
And
the
then
number
it
by
changes
which they-
according to the
they will
amendments.
modify
Remember,
your-
he
Well, and we
updates us
also,
throughout.
okay, but then, so my next
Okay.
statement is, the public hearing is next week. How do we know their budget doesn't change?
It's entirely possible it could.
And then that
changes
number
it.
would
And
change.
that number would change.
So we're gonna have to vote on it again if it does?
I
Why?
would think so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would
Just
we have to
saying.
vote?
I mean, if you so
Because if
choose-
we vote tonight for these figures, in order to change them, we have to make another vote. I just wanted to make that clear. Everybody
Why?
realize that.
If the budget committee changes the numbers, why do the selectmen automatically have to change the numbers?
We have,
Because
because of
this is
your
our
amount.
warrant. The budget committee doesn't get to change our warrant. Only the selectmen can change it. So if you change your
Okay.
figure, if we
Okay.
don't change this, that's
Thank
the
you.
figure.
Good definition. Loud and clear.
And I can give you an example.
Number 9,
Okay.
motion to,
Yes.
what?
Motion to recommend
Yeah.
Article 9,
As
formerly of 10.
10, second.
As written.
That's right.
In the second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous?
Very nice job on warrant article. Very nice job. I don't think we've ever done this before.
Are there any petitions or articles that we know?
I think the 3rd or the 5th?
Fire.
Well, that's the district.
Yeah, but the town of Tilton has a vote.
No, it's, yeah, each town is doing a vote.
Yeah,
But that is for the district warrant,
So
not
there's
the
a
town.
petition warrant article for the fire department to dissolve.
Correct.
Is there any other petition warrant articles out there?
So why would that go on the fire and not on ours, Catherine? Because each town is doing an article.
they did last time.
Right, same as the last
It would
time.
come to the town of Tilton?
Yes.
We're asking
Both-
to dissolve the
Both
district.
Both towns have to agree to it.
That's
No,
right.
it comes
I
to
thought it
the
was
fire
the
I
district.
thought it was a district.
It came
vote.
to us as well.
No,
It did last
No,
time.
the last time it was the-
500
Okay,
people.
hang on,
We're-
because it's real
we're
confusing.
obviously-
One person
nobody
around the
knows.
table. Joe, do you have any
The
comment?
last
Maybe this
time
is a
they
cheat.
tried,
Hold on.
The last time they tried to dissolve the district, there were hundreds of people voting on a warrant article in the town of Tilton and in the town of Northfield to dissolve the district.
Pat, any comments? Or anything? I want to keep everyone from shouting at the same
No,
time.
I agree. I just
And
don't
we all
remember
have something
that.
important.
Joe is right, it has to come between the towns, the town. There was something, the way that it was written, that it had to be with the district, each town had to vote, and then it had to go to the district. There was something about the towns, and I don't know what exactly was involved in the
It
language
was a big
of it.
thing.
And then if that passed, it had to go, if something happened, then we had to go to the district. But I don't know if it was on the
Doesn't sound right
dissolvement
at
of
all.
it though.
Catherine, did you have any comments on that?
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't remember a town meeting that was choked up by people voting on the district question. I do remember the fire district meeting.
Yeah,
It
the
was
fire district
completely
meeting.
choked up.
Do you
Don't
have
voting on
anything,
the
any
zone.
recollection that you'd like to
But-
add into that?
It's
I'm
premature.
having memories of both of them, so now I'm just totally confused.
So I think
Peter
it
But
was
the
out of
fact
town.
is, we will know next week, because the 5th is the
So
day for
the
petition
answer to
board
that
articles.
Yeah, the
question
5th and the
is,
6th.
we're going to ask our
Last
favorite
day.
town administrator to come through and
I'll check.
see what you can find
I
out.
will check.
And the 5th is the last day for petition warrant articles.
Thank you. Do you want to share it? Okay.
But I don't know of any petition warrant
So,
articles until
the,
it comes in.
the selectmen did agree to have a bond hearing on the
Right to the floor.
I believe people want to.
So what, all right, so we did agree also for the town planner to seek legal advice. So that might up your legal
For the,
budget.
We asked him to get an estimate.
I know, but it might increase the legal,
It might.
might.
We're doing really good. Anything else?
There's nothing more in the
You
budget.
got, you got.
I just have two quick things. One, I
It doesn't
just,
involve money, right?
Yes.
both do, actually, but,
Yeah, the finance guy not talking money.
yeah,
Of course it involves money.
I've got 6 minutes to spend with you, and I won't take a minute longer. Believe me, I won't. If you don't mind passing that around. I just am giving you, so you have it for your own records, what the Mango proposal is. And I had sent out the diagram before, I sent out the proposal that I finally received. And if you were going to make any changes to your budget, I would recommend this being put into the public works budget because of the significant decrease they had this year in the overall budget. And that it would be, managed by me to make sure that, that goes in and meets our requirements. But you can look that over. It's $13,605, not including the lift. And I had talked with Kevin, and we will have a need for a lift to do the tree lights at some point during the year, and that it can be done all at the same time. That's one item. The second item that I just wanted to go over briefly with you as it pertains, which is the other document that I passed out earlier, which, as luck would have it, when you put something in print, it's going to change 5 minutes later, and guess what? Forget the whole warrant article section in the middle there, because those numbers are all different. But what this document has is, first of all, on the very back page is an estimate from the bond council for Rhode Island, which, if these warrant articles are approved, we will have to, whether it's through them or someone else, we will have to have a bond council to be able to, go through this process. It's going to be anywhere from $500 to $7,500. So that can be borne in our legal line, or it can also be paid for out of the police building study committee monies of the $10,000 that's set aside.
We used to have an attorney that would do that for us for,
It was Divine Annulment. We've used them for each of our bonds.
Why is it so much money?
it's a standard
Yeah,
rate.
well,
But I thought we
standard
found
rate. And
somebody.
there's a
Yeah,
whole-
but that's like saying caps charges
Well-
is the same amount just because.
That's-
Why
No,
is it so much
It's because
money?
they've got you places wrong.
There's a lot of services that they do as a result of
Now
making
you
sure.
have 3 minutes.
Yep, 4.
I can stretch that out considerably.
So anyway, as you look at the intersection has different rates from the bond bank. And what I did was, on this front sheet here, I did a projection from 19 to 20. And looking at what things that you're going to be faced with in your 2020 budget, as well as what the costs of those two warrant articles, 617,000 would be over 20 years. So that's the lowest price we can get. It's at about a 4% interest rate. So the longer you go out, the higher the rate. So right now, we'd be looking at $64,000 a year in payments just for the land and architectural engineering and soft costs, which is roughly 14 cents. 14 cents per thousand. Have you not discussed the warrant articles
No.
publicly?
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
Because
we
the-
did. We
these
you
warrant
guys
articles- We have.
approved 5 and 6.
We didn't say any numbers, we just said approved.
Well, they will have to go to the budget committee.
Yeah,
They really should go to
Next,
the budget committee.
we agreed that we wouldn't do it until we did.
Does it really matter?
Well,
I mean,
my
really?
recommendation would be to send, if you've approved these warrant articles tonight, they should go to the budget committee tomorrow, so that they have an opportunity to review them prior to the public hearing.
Then I'd suggest that we unseal the minutes so that we can do that, so that you can do what you need to do right now.
I'll make a motion to unseal all
And
minutes
then we're
applicable,
okay.
And I'll second
applicable
that.
to the purchase and of the property.
Did they sign the intent? No, they haven't signed. Are we gonna wait till that happens?
On receipt
I think
of
we're
the
jumping,
intent?
I think we're jumping.
I think we're way behind the timeline.
Yeah, I finished my motion.
I can,
And everybody knows, trust me.
I don't want to hide
We
this
had
from
an agreement
anybody.
not to keep things
Then what is the
until
question
that
of
intent
that?
seal.
This-
Do we have any
The purchase and sale
agreement
is
with them
done.
to?
It's not signed. It's not signed yet.
Because we're not meeting again until Thursday, which means the budget committee actually wouldn't get the warrant articles because we wouldn't be able to give them to them until
Okay, here's the
Wednesday.
answer.
So, well, he just
Well-
sent me an email saying that he wanted to talk tomorrow, so he's available.
So that it falls through.
So could we have a motion, would you base that on the accepted letter of intent to unseal those minutes and allow that to
So
go forward?
upon receipt,
Does that sound right?
When do you expect it to?
I'm gonna call him, he sent me an email, he wanted to talk tomorrow, I'm sure everything's fine, so.
Upon acceptance of the letter.
But isn't it true that he's gotta get, doesn't he have to go to those two different groups again and get that signed out?
Well, that was, the way I understood it, they wouldn't present the letter to us until he had already done that. So-
Okay, well, it came to us unsigned, the selectmen signed it, they had to sign on their own.
Right.
I'm sure it's gonna be okay, but,
So can we make the
Because he
motion
wasn't,
that once that
and then upon receipt of the signed letter of intent.
No. So those numbers, so you can't release those numbers.
Okay, you're holding?
Okay,
We're
but he
looking-
said upon receipt of the
The
letter of
signed
intent.
letter
So
of
until we
intent.
get it back signed, this can't be released. Second.
We can, yep. we have a motion.
So if you get the letter of receipt tomorrow, you can release it to the budget. Yeah.
Okay, correct. Everybody's clear on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Gil, you clear on what that motion was? Let's think of Gil.
Well,
Hope they sign quick.
to unseal
I think there's a smoke
and that's
over there.
all I heard.
To unseal the minutes of
Regarding
the non-public minutes of all matters relating to the purchase and acquisition of the property upon receipt of a signed, return receipt of the signed letter of intent.
Got that part, I just didn't get the letter. Okay, thanks.
Catherine seconded it.
From doing that, looking at this, is there any way that we can discuss some of this stuff
Well,
without
I can
Specifically
just,
saying the numbers.
I will just describe to you how this is organized, so then I'll update the figures, and you'll have a better understanding when you get an update of this. So at the top, you're just looking at comparison data on the left. We're using the equalized value from 2018, and it shows our tax rate, our town portion, $7.44. On the top right-hand side, it's just demonstrating what 50 cents on the tax rate costs, essentially. So an increase of 50 cents equals $50 for a $100,000 home. And then what I've done is I've shown you that without any warrant articles, the rate would go down 19 cents. So that's without any of our capital reserves, just based on the operating budget alone. And that's a 2.5% reduction. The center section with the warrant articles, you can scrap that because those numbers have all changed, and I'll update that. But the bottom section, you can see where there's that first item is putting in monies that will be automatic because of the additional amount for the 8th officer for the full year, as well as the smaller amount for the public works director for the full year. I also estimated an increase in the operating budget based on the collective bargaining agreement, merits and other operating costs of 1.5% increase. So I had estimated a total amount to be raised from taxation at the bottom. And you can see along the right-hand side, each of these estimated amounts to be raised from taxation. It shows an overall rate, and then there's a comparison of the 2019 rate to 2018 in the middle section, and then the 2020 rate versus 2018 and what those change percentages are. So anyway, that'll give you at least a frame of reference when you get an updated figure. And you'll see also that I do have rates from banks and the bond bank, but the bond bank I use because that way you can look at them and talk about rates and have at least an idea. More than likely, these rates are all going to be slightly higher than what we would actually see, but it all depends on the Fed and the market. And things are just not as stable as they have always been. This is also the approved budget as of the changes made at the budget committee meeting last night. And that's really all I have, so I appreciate the time.
Why did
Have
they
a nice-
approve why did they approve more money for IT?
Less
Oh,
money.
less money.
They took out.
What did they take out?
They took out the 3 additional users for IMC. That was your chair there, if you want to get a description. But if you recall, I had recommended. If you recall, I was under the hot seat at one point after we had an employee leave. The board had, I think, an exit interview with them. The chief came in soon after that. They needed the 3 users. I was reticent to do that at that time because I was afraid I wasn't going to have the budget to do it. And I said I would commit to putting it in the 2019 budget. And part of this is a management issue, but they do run out of licenses. And particularly when you add in the 8th officer, that was my concern. They'll probably be on first shift for a while. I just don't know. So, but anyway, that's something that they're going to have to manage and deal with, and it can be.
Well, from what I understand though, Tim, from last night's budget committee meeting, you were not on the hot seat. As a matter of fact, somebody offered to increase your wages. Am I under the right?
No, I'm saying when I met with the Board of Selectmen, I was heavily
okay.
pressured to purchase those licenses in
Okay.
2018, and I said no.
Yes, he was.
I said no, I'll put it in the budget for 19, and that's what I committed to do. And honestly, I don't disagree. It is something that can be managed. It's dicey. It's right on the cusp.
Yes.
We may have a different discussion, but
$750 is $750 if you don't need to raise it. Yes.
right. But yes, you're right. That
And
also
same
did come
case,
up.
it's only $750. What is it, 10%?
Doesn't make any difference. I get that, but it doesn't make any difference.
There was some also change to the community action program. They approved it at 13,000, not 20.
Yeah, the same man that wanted to take out the Meals on Wheels and the commodities to the elderly and wanted to give the IT finance director that makes over 100 grand a raise.
Well,
Totally unrelated.
If I could just say, I think I need to say this.
I get it.
And I
Totally
can
unrelated.
say that
Get
I'd be
it.
happy to show you my value to the town.
Could
With
You
that, I
have,
really do
over
have
and
to
over
leave.
again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
We done with the administrator on the selectmen's reports?
And started the selection report.
Okay, so seeing as we just did that, budget was last night, and I'm the person from budget that reports back to you, so we can go over that real quick. The TAP program,
I already read it.
were you there last night?
Yep, I already read it though.
You were there last night, so you know what happened, Pat?
I do not know
Joe,
what happened.
You know what happened last night. So we went through the budget and the same, the questions about fairness and equality and what are we getting bang for the buck. And it went from reducing it, there was another motion, I think.
Your first one was
zero.
20,
First one was 20, that failed.
then 10.
Second one was
10.
10 or 0?
10. No, it was 1,000 less than Northfield.
10,
And that one failed,
And
again,
that
2
failed.
ties.
and then was there 0 after?
No, then we went to, no, then whoever came up with the 13, that was the
I
one.
remember coming up with the
Yeah,
13
and that's
because
what stuck.
it looked like it was gonna go for nothing, so I put the 13, split it in half to keep it on there for the hearing. So I'm hoping that it will get resolved. and,
Could come up at town meeting.
I'm sure, well, there's certain things that, you know it's gonna be. Bring your lunch this year to town meeting.
I'm bringing the candy dish,
What
buddy.
was the mindset of the budget committee on the town clerk tax collector's salary?
They wanted to leave it to
0.
the voters,
Okay.
so
Voter.
they flatlined it.
No, I just want to know that was the
Yeah.
discussion, what the voters decided.
Well, at first they
Nothing
had talked,
against-
well, they had talked like
How much
nothing.
did they give
and
Pines
they brought up
Community
what it does
Center?
to the budget.
How much did they
Same-
give Pines Community
Probably
Center?
Same thing that they got last year.
Full amount.
It should be on here. She doubled it.
Excellent.
There was questions about the, there was a question about lollipops and dog biscuits. There were other pertinent questions that went along with some of that stuff.
Who pays for those lollipops and dog biscuits?
We do.
Taxpayer.
I think it's, was it
I like
$25 or
dogs.
something? Yeah. It's $25.
But not kids.
Dogs are more loyal.
That's true. Hey,
Anything, Peter?
I'm good.
I do.
I do.
So while we're deciding whether or not, the Bitter and Lane thing, who's gonna own it, are we holding up the driveway permit? Because I think we are. I still don't know what DOT's requirements are gonna be from them District 3. I can't imagine they're gonna be the same as the sports center, but I don't know what they're gonna require them to do. Could we make that inquiry so at least we're moving forward? I don't wanna, yeah, I don't want them to be held back with their development.
if we keep the entrance to Bitter Lane, are we not responsible for the improvements?
No,
That's part of the site plan improvement?
that's part of MB, we're not responsible for
Okay,
that.
okay.
Because we can say.
I just
they're
wanted to make
permanent.
sure, because
That's what
I
we
know
were-
that the sports center was gonna have to pay, and
Right,
sidewalk, and
that
blah, blah,
was,
blah.
yeah, we
Okay.
have that
Yeah.
from an attorney. And then just, this is really a question, and maybe Joe can answer it. We still don't have a member from the Lochmere Water District on the Budget Committee.
I made mention of that fact, and the chairman, Mr. Boudreau, is going to try to get somebody to do it. I haven't heard anything back from that. I know he's out there trying to find somebody who's willing to sit through budget meetings, but it hasn't been successful as of yet.
Okay.
Doesn't say that, it says that we shall appoint one, but if nobody's willing to come,
Sure, it just.
and that's where we're at right now.
All right, good. I'd just like to see if we have a full board there. They're doing a good job. Okay. The rest can wait.
I just want to confirm, on Tuesday night, I brought up the pipe freeze at the senior center, and the bill was $480. If the selectmen will approve that that money comes out of the Grange, the building maintenance fund. The reason why I'm asking that is that that will free up our donations money so that we can go ahead and hire the electrician to go ahead and insulate and put electrical tape on it so it doesn't happen again in the future.
Didn't we have consensus to pay that?
Well, we did, but it wasn't really, we did, but I was confused and I didn't get a confirmation. So I want a confirmation to make sure that that's what we were talking about. That it's okay to go ahead and pay that out of that
It's
money.
a building expense.
Right.
The pipe froze.
That's never frozen before.
It's never frozen under the kitchen.
Well,
It was not negligence,
No.
it was the weather.
Right.
and they have it. I mean, and the pipe froze and we had to have it replaced.
And I brought up, I think I mentioned to Pat, that we have a water heater, we take the water from the water heater, we go underneath the floor, across the road, and we come back up. Why don't we just run the pipe in the heated area, so we don't have heat tapes that fail, electrician bills, possible, we know we have problems with rodents, and they love to chew wires. And if we could just at first at least go down the route to see running them, the old buildings, you see them running along the wall.
Go up in the corner of the
Go up the
kitchen and
corner.
then go
So
through the
back
bathroom.
up. The pipe that froze was from the hot water heater? Hot water supply?
It wasn't the feed, it was.
It was underneath the
But
kitchen.
was it the hot water supply or the cold water supply?
No, cold.
I heard it was the hot,
Hot water usually freezes
but
first.
in any
And
event,
oddly enough, it
I
does.
honestly
But-
can't answer that question. It
regardless,
wasn't there.
you have your main that comes in,
Right, I
And
understand,
then
so what
that
you're
should go-
suggesting is a preventative.
prevent it so
Right.
you never have to have heat tape that fails, plumbing that could possibly break, rodents that could chew on wires, insulation that, all that stuff. Run it on the interior of the building.
In the corner.
So we should get an estimate from the plumber that
Just-
fixes the,
You know,
Right.
and if we have to
Well,
appropriate a little more money, at least
let's
we'll
back
never
up a
deal
little
with it.
bit. So, we should find out if the pipe that froze was hot or cold. Because if we're gonna have to go over there and fix it, should we have them relocate it instead of fixing it?
What I'm saying is run
It's
all
already
water
fixed.
pipes inside.
It's already
Yeah,
fixed.
John wants
Oh,
to
it
bring them up
already
into the heated area.
It's already
Makes sense.
fixed.
Yeah, it
Get
does
them
make
off them out of the
sense.
crawl space.
So
especially
get the
if-
estimate.
Let's get an estimate.
And if,
And
I
I'm
think it
good
would
for
be,
repairing.
And the repairs.
The repair's done,
Yeah.
pay for it.
and if we have
So
to
we're gonna
put more
get-
money into it,
Get an estimate
we
for
will.
relocating those pipes out of the cold.
Relocate the pipes out of the cold
Into the heated
into the
area.
heated, so it would come up from the maintenance area,
And go directly inside the
into the
building.
bathroom,
And
down
then,
into the kitchen.
Yeah.
Got it.
and
Who do we call? I don't know.
miles ago, it's meant to-
Who's been doing the work over there?
Well, we don't
That
want.
one guy that
Yeah,
put in
we
the
will
trap
not talk
upside
about-
down
we will
and
not
told me
talk
I
about
was
it.
stupid.
Oh, that feet too.
What?
That's who put the plumbing in, by the way.
I didn't say his name.
So,
It's just why we should do that.
So anyways, yes, it'll be paid out of the building.
We'll figure that out. the plumb-
And we're gonna get an estimate for routing the plumbing
to
Okay.
interior
to be
areas.
interior
Heated.
heated.
we have some good plumbers in town.
All right, will you send me some names? Thank you.
You might come in the budget, get that a little bit, let it be done.
Joe, have anything? Who's next?
Joe has nothing. I have one issue, but only after John goes.
I am.
Motion to
Whoa,
adjourn.
whoa, whoa,
We
whoa!
didn't have a second.
Whoa, whoa.
Did we decide on a name for
No? Dedication?
town report?
Can't we do that next week?
Okay.
Second.
It's not
Everybody,
debating.
can everybody come in and we'll have a shoebox and, or something, and we'll put a slot in there, we'll put them all in there as we're sitting here. So,
Let's get in here.
Aye.
Aye.
And another lovely meeting that you missed.
And
system fail?